I was gonna say it's kind of like some kids I went to high school with who had super strict parents ended up being the ones that fucked off the most and did the most crazy shit and got into drugs and fucked up the most because they were just subjected to all of these, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I feel like, my mother gave me a lot of freedom to do whatever the fuck I want. And I did pretty well in high school. I didn't fuck up that bad because I just was like, well, I can pretty much do whatever I want and get away with whatever I want. And I still get good grades. So it worked out for me because I was given that freedom. But if being an Aquarius monkey and being someone that doesn't like being told what to do, I feel like if I had a more strict set of guidelines, I probably would have fucked off way harder,
Absolutely. And like I said, it's just the philosophy simply of, telling people what to do and being raised in a culture where it's like, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that. It becomes, all right, well, we're going to deliberately break the rules. Here, it's like, you should follow the rules out of respect,
That's lovely.
And you can drink on the street, you can have a beer while you're in a shopping mall. You can, it's not a big deal to people. And I never see drug addicts, very rarely, I don't see people popping pills and running around. Very, very few problems with drugs here. Why? Because it's all legal and it's not a big deal. In America, it's such a big culture of drugs and rules that it's and just the influence that people actually see from videos and music stuff. And even to simple things, I'll make an example. Growing up, one of my idols was Sublime, and talking about rioting and looting and it's just a song, but if there's bad times here, they don't loot. If there's rioting, they riot, but they never loot here. So it's weird. If they have a problem with the rules or the authority, they rebel against the authority, but they don't just smash random windows and start stealing things.
Yeah. In general, I feel. Especially in the States now, and in Southern California, it's really bad. It's a very egocentric, selfish mentality for most Americans. I notice it every day driving or even walking. Everyone's just get the fuck out of my way. Fuck you is kind of the vibe. And yeah, it's kind of a bummer. You can sense it in the air. That I don't know if it's just Southern California because it feels. I don't know if it feels. It's been 5 years since I've really spent a lot of time in Detroit, but out here, everyone is super superiorly individualistic in a very negative way.
For the most part. But at the same time, there's always more good people than there is bad. It's just that people tend to focus on the negative things, and people love dirty laundry as opposed to the good things that are happening in the world.
That's true. I definitely remember the shitheads more than I remember the people who are nice.
They say that about poker, too. You always remember your bad beats, and you forget about your wins. Be covered. Let's talk about falling downstairs.
Okay.
I've fallen down just about every flight of stairs possible. An escalator, a wooden set of stairs, a concrete. I haven't done metal yet. Almost.
No bleachers?
So I'm 6'5", about 200, but I range in between 180 all the way up to 220. When I get to 220, I'm a pretty big guy. But I have almost zero balance. And when I get drunk, balance gets difficult for me.
Makes sense.
So the first time I fell down the stairs, they were actually carpeted wood stairs, and I was on my way to Las Vegas, and that was no big deal. I was late for my flight, so I was rushing down the stairs, and I just went all the way down. But those were carpeted, padded stairs. Easy fall. No problem. Got in my car, went to the airport. No problem. In Thailand, I fell down an escalator off the SkyTrain, and I had a pint in my pocket, and I had my luggage bags with me, and the whole thing, and I went about halfway down the escalator, and the police came, and they were pissed off, and they were like, get rid of the booze. They made me throw the booze in the garbage, blah, blah, blah. But still, just, injured leg, not too bad. Here, these little Asian feet. Keep in mind, I wear size 15 and a half, sometimes 16s. Sometimes 15 and a half are too small for me. And those are hard to find 16s, especially here. But what I'm saying is their stairs are so small, and there's no building codes on how they put the stairs and how small they are, and the angle of the actual stairs. They make them out of concrete, but they try to save space. So it's almost like a free fall, the stairs. So if you miss one step, like you're going into like free fall, and the stairs are tiny compared to my feet that are 16.
Oh, man.
So concrete steps. I'm at an apartment trying to move a box with my American friend down the stairs. And I'm like, look, I got the box. I'm fine. Just go down at the bottom. I'll meet you down there. I'm moving the box down the stairs. I mean, this is an incline. Like, I'll just show you with my hand. I can't tell you how many degrees, but it's a very sharp incline. He's like, are you sure you've had it? I'm sure. He's like, are you drunk? And I said, we had 4 beers together. I'm fine. And I missed like the second or third stair, and I went into like a free fall, like 2 backflips down the stairs, full roll down concrete stairs, and he was at the bottom. And I just threw the box that I was trying to carry down, and I went into a full fucking large free fall. Like, velocity was very, very, very high for like a major head or spinal injury. He's at the bottom of the stairs, and his wife looks at him and says, your friend's falling, and he turns around and actually caught me. And I'm a big guy, and I was in like full, he didn't really like necessarily catch me, but he broke my fall enough where all I did was I was able to like put my hands in the ground, and I broke my thumb. And this was like a very, very steep free fall, like could have been in a wheelchair or dead type of fall. And he just fucking turned around and caught me.
That's a good buddy right there.
His name's Ryan, by the way. He's a good friend of mine.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah. So falling downstairs, it happens a lot for me. My balance is an issue. When I talked earlier about the tuk-tuk driver carrying me up the stairs, I told the same story to my friend who caught me falling down the stairs, and all he said to me was, that's better than falling down the stairs. He might as well carry you.
That's a good point. Was it the same stairs that the tuk-tuk driver carried you up? Different stairs? Okay.
No, this was a different place, and it was right next to a famous monument, like S-21, which was like a genocide torture area, which just makes it unique, is all I'm saying. Like next to a famous landmark.
The steep stairs.
Oh, just the angle and the size of the stairs, and having size 16 feet, I didn't have a chance. I should have just fucking crawled or just went down and backwards and held onto the fucking rail and pushed the box down.
Yeah, it's like you're wearing clown shoes, man.
Right. So a lot of fall downs, but you got to get back up, and I've been very fortunate. That was a very, I'm not trying to make it dramatic. That was the closest time in my life where I could have definitely, like, a spinal or head. Like, when I hit the ground, which I did, he didn't completely just catch me out of thin air. Like, we both he braced for like 80% of the impact. You know what I'm saying? We both kind of ended up on the ground, but we were both okay. And like all the neighbors that saw it were just like expecting me to be dead. And when I stood up, they were like, wow, you're alive type of moment. I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I just lost face and I got to go. And even the landlord saw it and was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine." And like the broken thumb just felt like nothing compared to what it could have been.
This was broad daylight too, right?
Dusk, probably about 7 p.m.
Okay.
Here it's like there's no, since close to the equator, the sun doesn't really change. There's no daylight savings time, so it's either 15 or 14-hour time difference. So if you guys change your clocks, we don't, because it's the same, like 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. sun every day. It just changes its like position just a little bit. Like being at the farm, I can tell you what time it is just because I just look at the sun, you know.
And right now, like as we're filming this, it's Sunday for me, but it's Monday morning for you, correct?
Right.
Okay. Got it.
And I'm certainly not looking for a job. So I'm gonna start skipping around to other stories too, just because I know we're already running on a lot of time, but I got like a lot of information to get out. So
yeah,
we could always edit some of it out too. But I just want to start spitting stories now, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about people who are interested in Asia. Let's talk about, ladies. And all the stories that I tell could be me, or they could be a friend of mine. Or like I said, I don't want to like pick out names or point anybody out for this, because social media is crazy about that, like we talked about. But one of my friends actually met a deaf hooker one night. And
deaf
I didn't know about
deaf, like couldn't hear?
Deaf and mute, so couldn't talk and couldn't hear.
All right.
And I use the word hooker. Karens might care about that, but I use the word hooker for a reason.
Sex worker. That's the PC term.
Well, we're all whores for something, and I hold nothing against it. It's just a different type of, I don't know. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
So I didn't know what happened. I woke up in the morning. I didn't even know he brought a girl home late night. And I wake up and I see this notebook. And I'm actually like drinking a coffee, and then I'm having a beer in the morning because I'm so hungover. And I happen to just notice the fucking notebook on the coffee table. And it's a negotiation agreement between their sexual endeavor together. I didn't know. I hadn't even met her yet. His door was closed. It was a 2-bedroom apartment. And I was up first. But I just couldn't help but reading the fucking notebook that was wide open. And it was funny because they were negotiating by writing and how much it would cost to pay the hooker. And since she couldn't hear or talk, they were writing back and forth. So he was like, "How much for sex?" And she would be like, "This much." And then he would cross out the price, be like, write in like half the amount.
What a bastard. What a bastard. Oh man. And all the evidence was right there.
It was the funniest morning paper I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And they were negotiating back and forth, and he was like, "That's too much," and she was like, "Okay, I can discount a little bit." But it was all written down on paper, and I was like, just fucking hilarious. And I woke up in the morning and I was like, "Why in the fuck did you write down your conversation?" And he was like, "Well, she can't hear or speak." And I was like, "Oh." And he's like, "Why did you read that?" And I was like, "Because you put it right on the fucking coffee table, and I couldn't help but notice.
It was on the counter.
Anyway.
That's funny.
It's weird with women here. It's like anywhere, like if you meet a girl at a bar, wherever, you meet a girl at a bar, you're expected to pay drinks for her, right? Like that's normal for a man to buy drinks for a woman at a bar. It's normal for a man to take her out for dinner if it's a one-night stand, for example. Here, they're just a little bit more, it's a little bit differently where they just, expect a few dollars to be on the way. But there's also plenty of good girls, and teaching here, knowing the language here, it's enabled me to meet, a variety of different women. And there are women who accept money for sex, and there are women who don't. And there's good, bad, different types of people all over the world. So yes, there is a big issue with that here. People talk about, ladies in Asia, this and that, especially Thailand. it's a huge business, of course, but it's like that anywhere. If you really want to, look at America, how many rich guys are, driving around in like a Porsche with like a young blonde haired girl, does she really love him? Who knows?
Well, I don't know if you know this, but sex work is becoming way more normalized out in the West. There's a thing called OnlyFans, which a lot of people are posting nudes and like amateur porn type stuff and making money, and there's like the sugar daddy sugar baby thing is like they make TV shows about that now. It's like way more socially accepted out here. It's wild. It's come a long way. Let me just put it that way.
Right on. All I can say is I don't really agree with it, and I don't really disagree with it. As long as there's just no like I said, like looking down upon people or any violence, I really don't have an opinion about it. I've had some really, really wild experiences here, but I've already been married for almost a year now, and I don't feel the need to do those types of things anymore. But I've certainly had just about every experience you can have here, and it is what it is. There's a lot of fun to be had. In the end, it's like Elton John, the Rocket Man. It doesn't even matter whether it's men or women anymore. You reach a point, Neil. You reach a point of sexuality that's like so high that it's like it just doesn't even matter anymore. And I hold no bias, and I really don't look down. I'm doing it. Go ahead.
Even that is being way normalized in the West right now, especially with at least like being on TikTok, the social media app. It's the lines are blurred as fuck. Especially with Generation Z, the younger generation. There's it's just there's more freedom in your choice to do whatever the fuck you want, and it's celebrated. It's not really frowned upon. So yeah.
Right, but I would definitely say that like Asians are much more beautiful if they want to change genders than Caucasians. Just have a little bit more difficult time making the transition. There are some very beautiful transgenders here, they actually have beauty shows here, and they're all transgenders, and people bring their families to them, to look at all the beautiful females that are males.
Oh wow.
And it's totally acceptable, and it's not even a big deal here. And if you like that and that's your thing, you like that, and if you don't, that's okay too. But like nobody really, there's no bias, or like people still make jokes about it, sure, but nobody really gives a fuck. I guess it depends on what time, but like after 3 a.m., that's when usually you'll be approached. There's kind of like a general rule here. If they're like over 5'7" and it's after 3 a.m., that you're probably dealing with a transgender. And it's always funny because like the guys that don't know are always like, "What the fuck, man?" And it's like, look. If you can't tell an apple from an orange, then it's your own fault that you're eating an orange and not an apple. And on top of it, at that point, you can't even tell anyways.
Fucking A.
But anyway, yeah, I'm totally... I don't even really care about... I hardly even go out at night anymore here, especially having a family. It's not a big deal. I can just definitely say from my experiences, I definitely prefer women. What up?
Still rolling, baby.
You know how interesting it is just to be speaking English right now?
Yeah, well, that's what you said, that you speak... What is the language in Cambodia? Is it Cambodian?
Well, that's how like an English-speaking person would call it, but here they would say Khmer.
Khmer.
Good. Right. And like I said, I would be Bong Steven.
Now,
so let's get into some dirt, okay?
Now, Wolfie and I aren't on speaking terms right now. He's mad at me because we did some gigs a couple years back, and I had to find someone else because there was some drama. So hopefully this isn't too juicy.
All right. Well, this is my interview, though, so this has nothing to do with you and him at the moment. This is my time to talk. I got the microphone.
All right.
So because he's going to hear this, and I want him to let him know. It has nothing to do with you and him.
I love Wolfie. It's just he's mad at me, and we got to make up one of these days.
I hope that you do, but I just got a funny story. So we're at the Emerald. There was a lot of Emerald stories that we don't even remember or talk about that still have been uncovered. So this is just an uncovered gem. Okay.
Yeah, I'm down.
The Canadian had a really uptight, not so agreeable girlfriend at the time, and she wasn't very happy at the lewd behaviors that were happening during the party at the Emerald, especially since we were giving away fake money for females to get naked, We were giving away fake money for females to get naked, Which was an absolutely genius idea.
Well, because the way it was set up, that fake money you could turn in at the end of the night, they were called pimp bucks, and you could get some sort of a prize. They were like when you go to Chuck E. Cheese and you get the tickets, like you get enough tickets and you get a prize, right?
Right. Every guy that went in got like $1,000 in different denominations, and the idea from the girls was to get the most pimp dollars, and then the winner at the end of the night, I think, got $500. And I actually did pay it. I lost a lot of money on that party, but I still paid out the two girls at the end of the night had so many, and all I could think about is, wow, they were probably like half nude the entire night. Even the owner of the Emerald afterwards was like, wow, man, we got to kind of watch out due to like regulations and like with my liquor license, if there's naked females everywhere. He did make a comment about that because he was like, I can't have so much nudity here. I was like, oh yeah, okay.
Oops.
Right. This is besides that. So just a funny story about the Canadian and the wolf. Canadian had an unruly girlfriend at the time, and she was not happy with his behavior or any of the behavior at the party. Probably didn't even want to be there to begin with. Wasn't having a good time. So kept trying to get the Canadian to get away from the wolf. And the wolf just wanted to bond with the Canadian because they've always had like a special connection together, right?
Yeah.
And so she kept trying to pull him away and pull him away and pull him away. And he was like, stop it, like trying to listen to his girl. And she was like, let's go downstairs. And she was trying to get away from him. He was a little bit loaded. He always likes to have a few drinks. So do I. And but he was getting very like pushy. He was trying to pull him back away. We were all wasted. At that point. And when the wolf just stepped in and just started making out with the Canadian.
Yeah.
He just started kissing him. And like the Canadian was uncomfortable with this more than his girlfriend trying to pull him away.
That's funny.
Not like mad, but like, dude. It was a dude moment.
Yeah, bro, quit kissing me.
And he just kept going for more kisses and to get her away, from interfering with his time, because it was in the VIP, area too. And it was, it was just funny. It's not that big of a deal, but I'm sure that if he listens to this, if he even remembers it, I'm sure he has vague memories. I thought that was a great story to share with you because we kind of have like,
Yeah. What better way to get a dude away from his pushy girlfriend than to stick your tongue down his throat?
And he was very aggressive too. That's all I can say. But I think he was just more. He wanted a piece of the Canadian. We all have at times, He's like the big teddy bear. He's like the big teddy bear that you just want to hug,
Yeah. The Canadian, is a lovely, lovely human, and we spent many a times in the shit pipe mobile, the angry plumber driving us around drove us all the way to Baltimore to do one gig back in those days in 2004. We didn't.
Do you remember the time when you went to a party with the plumber and the Canadian, and the Canadian was in his underwear at some party, and he wanted to jump up and like grab onto like there was like water pipes or something in the party.
Oh yeah.
He was like kept trying to like stand up on the countertop to like jump on the pipes, and everyone was like, don't do it, and he just couldn't help himself.
I'm still friends with that girl, Erica. She's my good friend. And we were in Toledo, Ohio, and we're hanging out, and the Canadian was in the chicken suit, and and we were drunk as sin, and we were over at Erica's apartment, and the Canadian kept saying like, I just want to jump out the window, and there was like an open window. We were on like the third story, and they were like, no, don't do it, no. He was just playing with them because they didn't know he was nuts, but they didn't know how nuts. So he was just keeping them on their toes. And then we ordered a pizza, and the pizza dude came, and you answered the door with nothing but the chicken mask on. So you're completely nude with just the chicken mask to get the pizza. And the pizza dude just saw you in full nude. Yeah, I remember all that stuff. Those are some of the best times of my life, man. Just guys' night. We had guys' night out in Toledo.
But the Canadian stepped it up, and he did jump up on the pipes, and he made some people upset. But that was part of our gig back in those days. You know, we weren't always loved. We were loved and hated. And sometimes I think in life, in order to be loved, sometimes you need to be hated too, you know, because if you're loved, then some people will be jealous anyway, you know.
For some reason, my friend Erica like continued to let my band crash at her place. Like she ended up moving to Chicago, and
right on.
Yeah, and just there was so many nights where we were so loaded, and she just kept having us over. She just was cool like that. She just knew that when my stupid band came to town that it was going to be fun. We had fun. I love her.
A few more Canadian stories I want to get to. One was at the Majestic, and he had a problem with one of the bouncers. It was either the Majestic or it's the Majestic and what? There's two. There's the Majestic and
Magic Stick, Emerald.
Right, and Majestic and Magic Stick.
Yeah, those are together.
The Canadian had a problem with one of the bouncers. Okay. And they're hanging out. This is outside, and the Canadian's already been ejected from the venue for doing something I'm sure offended someone. And the bouncer was trying to be a hard ass. And you know the Canadian, he doesn't mind. The thing I always say about the Canadian is he can take a punch. It's not so much about how hard of a punch you can take in life, but he can take one.
Oh, yeah.
And he has zero fear.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why he's the godfather of my son. But anyways, so he's egging on this bouncer that's twice his size outside. And the Canadian looks at the bouncer, and he just looks at him and says, you know what you can do? And the bouncer says, what? And the Canadian says, you can eat my shit. And he looked at the Canadian and he said, all right, look, I can't punch you right now because I'll get a lawsuit against me, but I'm going to go and punch out, meaning I'm going to go sign off my work and come back here to fight you so I don't have a lawsuit. But I'm going to come back here and kick your ass. The Canadian said, good, I'll be waiting here. So the guy goes back inside, supposedly leave his job, come back outside to fight the Canadian who's waiting outside. And I pull up in my car, with another friend that's driving who's very conservative. Like, Greg, hey, let's get going, man. Show's already over, we were about to leave. And the Canadian's like, I got to fight the bouncer. And my friend was just like, get the fuck out of here. And then we learned about the details afterwards, but he was just like, you can eat my shit. And he's like, I'm going to go punch out so I can punch you out.
Nice. You can eat my shit.
Another good, I'm just going to start reeling off quotes from the Canadian. Here's another good one. When they ever talked about like alcoholism as compared to being like a heroin addict, he always called alcohol a safety net. He used to say to me, Steve, alcohol was our safety net against doing drugs like heroin. We never did heroin because we like alcohol. And it was our safety net against doing harder drugs like that would have killed us.
It's a good point.
Another one of his famous quotes, 2 minutes for carrying in the penalty box.
Yeah.
You're giving a fuck, and that's, you got 2 minutes for giving a shit.
I remember that when we were on our road trip.
We used to also have pants off time where everyone would get drunk and pull off their pants, not necessarily boxer shorts, but it was a nice way to get some females to participate and not get naked, but just everyone take their pants off, And for some reason, one dude got really offended one time, and he just kept insisting to the Canadian to put his pants back on. And finally, the Canadian agreed for the first time in his life with someone, and he looked at him and was like, I'm going to put my pants back on, but not because you told me.
I'm gonna put my pants back on, but not because you told me.
So why did you do it then?
I think because there was no other females willing to, and he was the last one.
Oh, man.
I don't know.
Love that Canadian.
I saw him one time. Do you remember have you ever seen an Old English, not 40 ounce, but 64 ounce jug of beer? It had a handle on it.
Nope.
Okay, so there's a 12 ounce, there's a deuce, there's a 40 ounce, and Old English was the only one that offered like a 64 ounce, which 64 divided by 12 is 5.5 beers. It's a jug of beer. And it's also malt liquor, which is much stronger. I saw the Canadian pound a 64 ounce Old English, so that's 5.5 beers down the hatch. And I went to give him a hug. Please look at me in the camera right now. And he was like, he did this. He was like, no. And then just casually walked to the bathroom and just sprayed the John. Just sprayed. He just chugged 5.5 beers. Like, people consider, chugging one beer in that amount of time impressive, No, this was 5.5 in literally seconds. Never seen anybody chug beer like that before. Anyways.
The man is good.
He's the Godfather.
There's a Family Guy episode that just came out where Peter's the Godfather. Reminded me of the Canadian.
Why did it remind you?
Just because you said he's the Godfather.
When just before my son was born, we didn't really talk too much about what my expectations of being the Godfather were. I just said that he doesn't have any fear, and you teach him all the things that you taught me. And he just said, okay. And I said, don't let them be a generation pussy that we accustom ourselves to these days with this modern generation. I just harden them up.
How does one do that?
If anybody knows, the Canadian does.
How to get hard, the Canadian story.
All right, I'm moving along with stories now. Blunders. I took this giant constipated shit. Giant. I sent you a picture of my colon. If you could actually, like, when you edit the video, if you could actually, like, show how big my colon is right now, it's like dilated 3 times the size that it should be.
And why is that?
Because I've had constipation for so long that it just expands just like a muscle. It's giant.
To this day.
I have to have surgery. I can't go to the bathroom on my own. I have to do enemas every single day.
Oh, man.
Anyways, I don't want to get into that. I took this giant dump. When your rectum's dilated over 20 centimeters, when you're looking at the camera right now, like, I can take shits that are like, that can't be flushed, that are like this big. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fish was that big. So I happened to be at the Radnor house, and I took this giant shit, and I had to save it. So I took like a spatula, and I took the shit out of the toilet bowl, and I wrapped it in aluminum foil, and I put it in my freezer and froze the shit. Okay?
Okay.
I wanted to save it. It was a monumental dump. A few days later, one of my friends who was over, who's known as R, was looking in my freezer, and he was like, "Wow, what the fuck is that?" And I was like, "It's a giant dump. I froze it." And at the time, I had this weird Jamaican guy living in my living room.
I remember that guy.
Right. And he had done some, like, really bad thing at the house. So we kind of had, like, a household meeting. And we said, like, we could report him to the police. It was pretty severe. Or we could just, like, fuck with him continuously until he leaves. And we decided on just fucking with him until he would leave. So we took this giant frozen dump. It was like, why don't you put it inside of his fucking pillow? Do whatever you want, man, you know? So he takes this giant shit and he puts it inside his pillow. And he's living in my living room at the time. There's this giant frozen thawing turd in this pillow. He's not going to sleep yet. He doesn't know it's there. A few hours later, my buddy known as R gets wasted drunk and ends up passing out in his bed on the turd that he placed for the trap. And stuffed with my shit all night.
That's lovely.
These are the things that I think people with boring office jobs want to hear about. So he placed the trap and he fell into it himself.
Yeah, he fell into his own hole, man.
Woke up next to my fucking monumental shit.
That's a good one. A+.
All right, let's talk about the beer truck here that fell over. You saw, like, the video that I had posted on my channel.
Is that not on your channel anymore?
It is, but it's unlisted. Anyway, a semi-truck driving back hungover, and I promised myself that morning I'm really fucking hungover, and I just was off a massive bender. I mean, a really, really top 10 type of fucking massive destruction bender. And I was like, I'm not going to drink anymore. I promise you, God, all these things. And then a beer truck overturns in front of me and all these beers spill over the roadway. I mean, like tens of thousands of beers. So we stop. And they don't section off, the police don't section off accidents here, which is great because the public can actually walk up and view what's going on. And there's dire straits as private investigations. What they're trying to talk about is the bullshit that happens in private investigations. What's nice here is that most investigations are open to the public. So people actually get to see gore, people actually get to see things. And it doesn't mean that they're sadistic. It means that they actually want you to see what happens if you fuck up, if you're a drunk driver and you die. They will post that because they want people to learn from it. It's kind of like when we went through driver education or sex ed class, they show you all the pictures of BD and people that die in car accidents just to scare you.
Yeah.
It's the opposite way of thinking, but it actually works here. But the problem is you get too many gawkers because people gawk at accidents. But anyway, this giant semi-beer truck fell over. I went over there, and I was just like, man, I just quit drinking today, but I was like, this is a sign from the gods that I need one. And I was trying to offer them money to buy them, and they were like, no. They wouldn't accept any money. They said, you can sit down here and you can drink as many as you want. So I just had
oh man.
And they would not accept a dime. But there was not people looting. There was just already villagers that came and started repackaging the beers to put into a different truck. That was it. So I just sat down, had a beer, and it was hot because it was in the sun and it was 100 degrees. So, I mean, the beer was probably 120. It was like drinking hot tea.
Gross.
And then I just asked him for one more, and then I asked him to buy a case, and I was like, how much do you want? And they were like, they would not take the money. And the people there were just there to help. And it was a tragedy, but it was a sign, like I said, from the gods that I needed a drink. And I brought one of the beers back to America and gave it to my dad because they gave me two. And then I just left. But I like that just because it's they show things here because they want you to see what happens if you're a jerk, if you're an idiot, if you fuck up. And they also want to make proof. And it's not just with people and injuries or blunders. It's also when I take my car to the shop and I ask them to fix it and I got a broken water pump, they will give me the water pump that's broken that was supposedly in my car just to show me after they replace it.
Yeah, there's a level of honesty in that.
Right. And I'll make another comparison now, which is on the complete other end of the scale. When they do cremations here, they do them right in your front yard or your backyard or your house. But after they burn bodies at funerals right in front of your house, they give you the bones afterwards.
Wow.
And that's I know I'm comparing water pumps to bones at the moment, but I'm just trying to say it's more of to see it and to know that this person really died. People always ask did Tupac really die? He's still alive. We saw him in Colombia. If you watched his body burned and you had his bones afterwards, you'd probably know he was dead.
Yeah, there wouldn't really be a question then.
So it's more of trying to prove that is all I'm saying. I'm not trying to diss any culture during this interview, and I never try to do. I try to understand both sides and then give my stupid opinion in between.
Yeah, no, you're just saying this is how they do things over here. When my dad died, they cremated him, and there's a part of me that it hasn't even really set in that he's not here. I think he's like still on some golfing trip, you know, because it happened so quickly, and it happened before the funeral. You know what I mean? Like how? Yeah, there's a lack of finality in not knowing that. You know,
but I do understand, and that's very, very unfortunate. But at the same time, if like you woke up in the morning after the cremation and they asked you if you wanted to go look at the bones of your father, wouldn't that be kind of weird?
I mean, yes, but it depends on who you ask, you know?
Right. Good point.
It would be weird for any normal person in the United States of America, yes.
Right. But we're worldwide kind of guys.
Yeah, I don't know, like, what a lot of people think is weird. I don't necessarily even consider weird at all. But
same here. I don't even like to make labels. When I say weird, I mean with the rest of the world or the rest of the culture that would think, you know.
They would definitely think it's weird. You know what I think is weird is like spending a lot of money on a purse. Like that's what I think weird is, you know?
Right.
Or what else do I find weird? You know, like flying a Confederate flag seems weird to me. You know?
Right.
There's a lot of
I agree.
Yeah.
In general, for me, like nationalism is kind of strange to me because it only separates. It doesn't really unite.
Oh, we're experiencing that like right now. We're experiencing that in a fucking big way out here. A lot of nationalists are you know, just blind nationalism is a weird sort of fucking death cult right now. It's wild. America's wild right now, and the pandemic is getting really bad too.
But on a positive note, and I don't want to get too much into it, but on a positive note, we talked about like eliminating nationalism might not be like such a bad thing, just on the basis of we are all people. And even though there's so many other conspiracies and things going on and just so much like right now, everyone has their own thought. The only way to like eliminate barriers is to literally, you know, eliminate barriers and just to be people, not to say I'm this or I'm that. Like I'm a human being capable of loving if you are too, you know?
I agree, man.
That's all that matters to me.
Me too.
Anyways.
But it's going to be tough to convince a lot of people of that because everyone is convinced that the way they live their lives is the truth. And if you don't believe exactly what I believe, then you're the enemy. And it's very divided times in the United States right now.
Right. Absolutely. And you know, one of the most historic tactics of, you know, of conquering is to divide. And it's unfortunate because it seems like there's a larger agenda behind everything that's going on. And what's really happening now is just the largest distraction in history.
I've thought similar things. We'll see what happens, you know. Ultimately, I'm just a very minuscule human in this giant fucking clusterfuck of sorts.
What I'm trying to say is I'm actually still positive right now just because everyone else is negative. So I'm on the positive side.
That's good.
Now, I think the collective consciousness, what I'm trying to say is like collective consciousness of the goodness has always triumphed throughout history. There has been evil and there has been shit that's hit the fan, but sometimes shit needs to hit the fan in order to get rid of the evil. So it's kind of all playing out right now, and it's just interesting. It's happening during our lifetime.
Yeah, this is true. We'll see where the collective consciousness goes, like in what direction, and or what this evil is, you know, because it could be a person or it could be a set of ideals. Who knows?
Right.
You know what's
all we know right now is there's a giant agenda.
All we know is that 20 years ago, some dude slept on a frozen turd.
Who tried to play a prank on someone else.
On today's
an unfortunate Jamaican man living in my living room.
On today's episode of Punked, our punks himself.
Let's talk about using squatter toilets, okay? You got nice toilets over there. Over here, we got these little squatters. I sent you a picture. This would be a good time, like when you do the editing, to show the picture of the squatter toilet I sent you. And that's actually a picture I took. Did you have a chance to look at that?
Oh, I got it open right here.
So just please take a look at that picture and like just picture yourself with like all of a sudden you got a stomach ache real bad and you got to go. Like you just got the drop and you've got like 30 seconds to do and you walked into that situation. What would you even do in that room?
Hover. I would hover. Yes.
But if you only pulled your pants down halfway, what could happen?
You could slip.
You could drop the load right in your shorts. So what you actually have to do is have enough time to pull off your complete pants.
Like on Seinfeld.
No, you have to pull off your entire shorts, and you can keep your shoes on. But you know, everywhere here is more like polite not to have your shoes. So usually you don't even have shoes on. So you're barefoot. There's mosquitoes everywhere. Check out like next to the squatter toilet, there's like a bundle of water that they just keep there, and that's for washing your ass. But mosquitoes love water. So there'll be like 20 mosquitoes hovering over the water area, which while you're shitting, they would love to bite your ass and balls.
Yeah, that still water is just a huge attractant.
So anyway, what you have to do is run in there, and you gotta get rid of your pants or your shorts as soon as possible, because you don't want to shit on your pants or your shoes. You can keep your shirt on, and then you gotta fucking squat down there, and you gotta shit, and then you gotta grab a bucket of that water. You gotta grab a bucket of that water, and use your hand to clean your ass afterwards after you shit in there.
Oh, gosh.
There's no toilet paper here. There's no baby wipes, nothing. And then afterwards, you also take a scoop of it's like a plastic pot. You take a plastic pot of the water, and then you use that to flush the toilet because there's no bowl above it to give gravity to push the shit down because it stinks so bad and you had like 24 cheap beers the night before. Right? And it smells so fucking bad that you just want to get rid of that.
Wow.
So you got to get the shit down while squatting, and then you got to use the water to fucking clean your own asshole out. And then there's never a fucking towel. Not that you'd want to use that towel in there anyways.
Yeah, no.
Your worst gas station story, like in America, just is nothing on Asia, okay? Nothing. And that's a nice one. That's a nice squatter. Okay. I've seen some squatters that haven't been cleaned in 20 fucking years. We got like weak knees, you know. I'm not like a catcher in baseball, but that's basically what the stance you got to take, you know. They have no problem with it. They squat anywhere and take a dump or a piss anywhere. I have a real hard time being 6'5" squatting with fucking diarrhea, like emergency shits, and making it in the fucking bowl, and then using my hands to clean it afterwards. And then they put their toothbrushes right next to the standing water, and I'm like, God, who the fuck would leave their toothbrush there?
That's fucking nasty, dude.
There's not so much of the germ phobia here. There's huge germ phobia in the Western world. Like everything is germs, virus, germs, bacteria, kill bacteria, antibiotics, probiotics. Oh, your gut needs probiotics. Now you need antibiotics. Here it's just put your toothbrush right next to the toilet bowl.
Man. So your living situation right now, explain that.
All right, living in a shipping container, it's interesting. But like I said, it's like on 1 acre of land. It does have an air conditioner, sleeping at night, and it can be moved very easily. And it also, the metal blocks all EMF radiation. So like any problems with like 4G or 5G radiation, there's no signal in the house whatsoever. And like, I like the fact that my son is being raised right now without radiations. But inside that container, there's zero signal. I can't make a phone call. I can't do anything inside of there. It sucks while I'm there, but it blocks all that, at least while you're sleeping, you know?
Yeah, it's a little bit of respite from the digital world.
Oh, it's, like I said, living in like 1950 here, but being in the container in the middle of the bush, yes, it's awesome, but at the same time, it has its good things and bad. I'm not going to say like I'm living this perfect organic life. It's just like anywhere, it has its good and bad things. But there's never a dull moment.
What's your average day? Like, what do you do in a day?
Normally on the farm, I would wake up and feed the chickens. We got turkeys. We had goats before, but unfortunately, got rid of the goats recently. Cows, take care of all the animals. Make sure the wife's okay. Right now, I've had a kid, so, make sure we get food in the morning, cook, clean up a lot too, a lot of dust because, in the dry season, it's either like monsoon season here for like a few months or it's just dry dust. So you wake up and you got to clean, and it's very, very rustic, very, very rustic, and very, very high humidity. That's what I like about it. Sometimes I keep my air conditioner on inside the shipping container just to prevent like the humidity factor, because everything just rusts. Like if I leave my hammer outside in the morning, it will be fucking brown with rust.
Wow.
So like I have to be careful with even my electronics and everything else, like a microphone or something. If I leave it out overnight, it's going to get rusted. Everything that's like important, I have to keep inside a small shipping container and keep that air conditioning going just to be pulling 100% humidity. Like think about the worst humid day in like Michigan in August when it's like 95 and people say the humidity is 100%. That's fucking nothing.
Yeah, I have
95.
I can't even conceptualize that.
When it goes to 105 here, that makes a big difference. And I also have a metal roof. And a metal roof just makes the heat go down and just radiate inside even more. So like, I don't know. I'm kind of like Stalin, Joseph Stalin. I'm a steel guy. My house is made of steel. My roof is made of steel. Everything's made of steel. Stalin actually means steel. Did you know that?
No idea.
Strong Russian steel man. Stalin means steel. My last house was made out of bamboo. So like the Three Little Pigs, you know, I learned from making a bamboo house last time that bamboo houses suck ass and feels much stronger.
Hell yeah. So you've upgraded.
I guess so. But I could definitely use like another container or another area because there's no privacy. And yeah, I could definitely use like a man cave. Like even right now where you're at right now, like I can see you said you live like in a 1-bedroom, but right now you have a door separating the kitchen, right?
Yeah. It's not so bad. Yeah, because this would be the bedroom, but luckily it's my kind of office type thing. You know?
Okay. Can you see behind me how fucking bright it is? Look at the sun, man.
Yeah, it's very bright.
We're on separate ends of the world, but you know, it's the same love, okay?
This is true.
Can we talk about midgets now, please?
Sure, small people.
In particular, Bridget the midget.
Yeah.
I'll never forget when we picked her up from the airport. First thing that she said was, "I just got rid of a bad case of." She said either chlamydia or syphilis.
Nice.
She was like, "It's horrible." And the reason why she said that is because there was like 15 dudes and one girl in a limo bus to pick her up from the airport. And what a fucking great thing to say when you're a smaller person and you don't want any man to take advantage of you when there's 15 of them. Just tell them you have an STD.
I think it's a good game plan, for sure.
But she actually didn't, and she told me afterwards that's what she says if she feels that she's in any type of situation she's uncomfortable.
Oh, wow.
Afterwards, it was the exact opposite. I was with the Canadian dropping her off at the airport, and she demanded that we pulled off on the side of the road, and both of us had intercourse with her because she was upset that nobody had intercourse with her while she was in Detroit.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Right. She was like, pull this van over and both of you fuck me. And we were like, I wish I could say, you know, it was just a little bit strange is all I can say. Nothing against her, you know, whatever. Just a little bit strange. She was very demanding and very, very upset that we declined. Very, very, very upset.
Man.
I've never had that before with like any female, like just demanding and being like so aggressive like that. It's like, it was interesting. And she actually spent the night at my house at the Radnor house the night before. She stayed for 2 nights. The weird thing was when I booked her to do a party, she was the only entertainer I've ever booked that asked if she could stay an extra night. And she's not like a top tier. She's not like Jazzy Jeff or, that charges thousands and thousands per night. But she actually wanted to stay in Detroit for an extra night. And I said, fine. But, I'll pay for your room for 1 night. But, if you want to stay an extra night, do you mind staying at my place? She was like, no, that's fine. So Bridget the midget ended up sleeping at the Radnor house on day 2. We had a floor hockey team at the time at the YMC, and our name was the Buttlugs. We had jerseys that were teal, green, teal, and pink letters that said the Buttlugs. And we brought her to our floor hockey game the day after the party, and we were so fucking hungover because we just had like a 10 keg party, and we've got a porn star midget with us, and she was just hanging out watching us play floor hockey. It was all good. We had a lot of good times, and she had a good time too, but I've just never had someone that like actually wanted to hang out, and she did. So like I give her a lot of credit. Like she's not a giant superstar, but like she was paid for one night and just asked if she could stay another night and hung out my fucking place in the ghetto. And I was like, my house in Detroit isn't the most, beautiful place. And she's like, I don't care. Let's just have fun. She was really cool. She really was. So I'm jumping around from story to story. Here's another good one. I got a buddy who likes to drink cheap vodka, and he bought one of those, those Brita filters.
Yeah.
Where you're supposed to use them to like filter water.
Yeah.
What he does is he buys like the cheapest ass vodka and he puts it through the Brita filter 3 or 4 times. And I don't know if it works or not. I don't know the science behind it, but that's just a funny story.
I think my buddy Nate does that too. At least he talked about it.
Strategy for survival, Let's have a few stories about the angry plumber.
All right, yeah.
The angry plumber is a very, very unique individual, and unfortunately, like, I haven't really talked to him in many, many years, and I really am sad because I really want to, but the times that we did have together are very treasured, and I have a lot of respect for him, even though we kind of went separate ways, but he's got a lot of excellent stories that need to be told.
Oh, he's a legend, man.
Yes.
He let me sleep in his basement for I forget how long I lived there. It was for a good period of time. I was a bad tenant too. But he out of the grace of his good heart, let me sleep at his house.
All I can say is that like we both did a lot for each other at the time. I admit I was just a prick. And I was too focused on myself, and I admit I did some wrong things, but he also provided a lot of awesome memories, and I miss him probably more than anybody else I've ever, lost contact with.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Anyways, here's some great stories about the angry plumber. First, he's fishing on the canal in St. Clair Shores. He's got his tackle box out. He's just fishing in the canal, looking for, perch or whatever, sea bass, whatever's there. He's just fishing at, trying to relax. He's an angry plumber, so, this is his time to relax. And he's fishing in the canal. And just some dipshit comes walking along. And, he's just standing there watching him fish. And he's like, you catch anything? Yes, no. The usual conversation. And then all of a sudden, the guy who's watching him just starts going through his tackle box, like rummaging through his tackle box, not stealing anything, not just being a prick, just like going through his stuff, like looking through it. And Angry Plumber was like, "What the fuck are you doing, man? That's my tackle box. What the fuck do you want? What's your business here? What's the problem? What's going on?" And he would not comply, and he just was not listening, and the angry plumber did not like that. And he kept rummaging through his stuff. And finally, the angry plumber was just like, "You got to get out of here right now." And he did not listen. So the angry plumber went over to him and just picked him up by his belt strap and just jazzied him right in the fucking canal. Just threw him right in the fucking canal.
I could see that.
Have you ever heard this story?
No.
He threw him right in the fucking canal. I don't know the exact details in between, but he went from just like watching and being like a nice guy to whatever, but he ended up getting thrown in the fucking canal. Out of here.
I will attest that Tom, the angry plumber was not a tall man, but he was a very strong man. Like he could
pound for pound, the toughest guy I've ever met in my entire life.
He could throw a person into a canal. Yeah, like No problem.
Not just that, but he would win a fight on any account. You know, it was like the Italian in him. Like, he would never lose. Even when he would lose, he would win, is what I'm saying. He told me one time, we had a problem in a bar with a guy, you know, and they had a little scuffle inside, and they said, let's take this outside. He said, all right. And he said, we went outside together, and we went toe-to-toe, and they threw blows back and forth, and he goes, he just got the best of me, and he hit me, and he hit me, and he didn't knock me out, but I was down, and I was almost out. So the angry plumber was telling him, and he was like, stop, I'm done, I'm finished. So the guy stopped, and as soon as he stopped and he turned his head around, he had a ponytail. The angry plumber grabbed his ponytail, punched him once, and knocked him out. like shifty, quick, like he's not gonna fucking lose. Another good story. He shows up at a job to clean out the drain pipes, and this guy's talking about how he's this black belt and blah, 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 and he's a ninjutsu master, what the fuck ever. And he just keeps babbling and babbling and babbling, and then there's some type of problem that unfolds, and he's this super black belt, and Tommy just knocked this fucking black belt guy the fuck out.
He used to give me the keys to the angry plumber truck. It was that. Do you remember that blue van that he would have all his gear in?
Yeah.
He would let us drive to gigs with that thing. But the best part about it is all of his like his entire snake, so he could snake sewer drains, was like in the vehicle with all of us and the gear too. So
right,
just covered in shit pipe residue. Oh, good times, man.
The angry plumber used to tell me about, like, when people would piss him off on the job and he was like snaking a drain, he would deliberately, especially since he would be like in a basement and like people would have like their clothes rack with like all their clothes, you know, hung up on a line. He would deliberately maneuver the machine so it shot shit all over the clothes.
No way, dude.
Numerous times. Like, here's another good story.
Yeah, go ahead. More plumber.
Somebody wrote him a bad check one time. And he showed up at their house. He was like, you know, you wrote me a bad check for $600. I did a complete sewer fix, this and this and that, and your check bounced for my bank. You owe me $600, and it was, you know, $35 for the bounce fee or whatever. And the guy was like, I don't have any money. And he goes, all right. Well, if you don't have any money, it looks like you got a nice TV. At that time, like big screen LCD TVs were like $1,000, not $300.
Yeah.
And the angry plumber just walked right in this house and started taking the TV off of his wall.
You know what's funny is none of this seems far-fetched to me. You know, like I lived with that guy. I remember when he told me. I mean, like even his little cousin would bring his friend over, and he would just call him Minion, and he would just bark at him, and he'd be like Minion.
Oh.
Like, and that kid did whatever he said. He was intimidating like that.
It's part of the reason why we didn't get together too well is he is a leader, and he's a very, very good, you know, manager, a boss, and I'm a very independent person. It's part of the reason why we kind of had some problems together, just because I was more of, you know, independent, and he, you know, maybe sometimes would try to do things, but he was always cool with me. I would say I definitely kind of fucked it up, but the stories from him are definitely real. So anyway, he walks into this guy, and while he's taking the TV off the fucking wall, he magically comes up with that $635 fee from under his mattress and pays him. And he puts the TV back on the wall.
That's amazing.
And what's he going to do? Call the cops and say, I wrote him a fucking bogus check and get a felony?
Yeah, that's some like ballsy shit, man.
Oh, he would never ever give in. And I love that about him. Like, he was one of those people that you meet in life where you're just like, all right, you know. We never got to that point. We just kind of separated, and I was a prick at the time. I was just very egotistical and unappreciative of all the help that he was actually doing for me.
Yeah, I mean, he was a big part of all those endeavors, like the T-shirt business, and you know, he backed my band, our whole second album. He like put the money to record that. You know, and then we put the record out, and it didn't make any money because not enough people bought it. You know, but yeah, he was
always there. He was always there.
Yeah, he was instrumental in the year 2004 of us making that record and that party we did at the Majestic with the dunk tank. And yeah, he put me up, dude. I like fucking had nowhere to live. He put me up, dude.
I just feel sad because I feel like I didn't give him the same respect that he gave me. And I was a little bit caught up in the moment at the time, but we never had like a major instance together. It was just like I totally flaked out on him, and I feel bad because he's a very, very good person. He's a very, very unique individual that you only come across, you know, one in a million type of people, to say the least.
Oh yeah.
And it's sad, and I hope he actually sees this. And you know, I'm just like, I'm sorry for like the things that I did wrong, but we had a lot of good times together, sure. And he's a very faithful person, but at the same time, if you cross him, it doesn't matter if you're a fucking black belt or if you're looking through his tackle box. You know, you might just end up in the fucking canal.
True that, man. Oh man.
Did you catch any fish? You're the fish.
Right. Yeah, I remember there was one time he pushed me up against the wall, and I was just like, wow, I'm like, I can't move this guy. And I played football in high school. I could bench press some weight. You know, I'm a bigger guy, and he made me feel like he was a boulder. He was like a boulder. Had me pinned against the wall. And there was one time, oh man, living with him was a fucking trip, dude. I was in the shower, and he decided just to pour spicy mustard all over me. and I was like, it's burning, because I didn't know what it was at first. And he was just laughing. He would always he'd fire bottle rockets at you. You know, there was like a laundry chute, and he would just light up bottle rockets and fire them through. Like, you'd be downstairs, and he'd start firing bottle rockets through the laundry chute at you in the basement. And then
he had his fun too. He got his money's worth too.
Yeah. It was like living with someone from the Jackass movie. You know, like you're just constantly you're gonna get punched in the balls, or you're gonna get like, you know, fucking, they're gonna throw you against the wall. You know, just like, you know, there's always, he's gonna fire some bottle rockets at you, but then we would just like kick it and watch TV. And I used to have really long conversations with him where we would talk about what we wanted to do with our lives, like in the future and stuff. And I would always hit him up for advice. He was like kind of like a weird older brother to me, man. I don't know if I ever told him that. I just didn't have any money, and he just kind of got sick of that. and I wasn't paying him anything to live there. No one was making any money for anything, and he just pretty much was like, dude, get out of my house. But
I absolutely admire his character completely. He's meant for the big screen. It's just he's one of those people that just kind of flies under the radar and lives his life. But like, God forbid anyone who crosses him, like he will knock you the fuck out, and he will find a way. It reminds me of like the movie Casino when they talk about like Joe Pesci, and they're like, you know, like he's gonna beat you, he's gonna come back, and
he's gonna
beat you.
He's got Joe Pesci vibes for days, dude. Big time.
But he's strong, like I said, pound for pound. Like he's just not someone you fuck with.
No.
And you know, if you put him in the hospital for a month, he's gonna get out, and the first thing he's gonna do is come looking for you.
Yeah. You know? I remember he hit me up out of nowhere. I hadn't talked to him in years, and he texted me, and he's like, "I'm listening to your music right now." He said, "Don't you ever stop doing what you do, because you're fucking great." And then he texted me again, and he said, "And don't fucking call me." He said, "Don't you ever stop doing what you do, because you're fucking great." And then he texted me again, and he said, "And don't fucking call me." And I didn't call him because it's like, I mean, he's.
I love you, man, but don't ever call me.
He said what he wanted to say, and he was just like, and that's it. He's a dad too, man.
Yeah, I heard he's had a baby too. I'm very proud of him. I would love to talk to him again someday. Like I said, of all the people across the world that I've met, it's definitely a shame that we haven't talked in so long. But it is what it is, and I talk to people like Big Chris too, and we all, as we all get older, we all kind of just move farther away, as you get older, just because it's like your bubble becomes smaller, But at the same time, like, nothing but respect for him and good times. Like for anything that I did that was wrong, like I'm certainly like not proud of it, but just very admirable of the things that, like, he's beyond a 1 in a million. 1 in a million is a small estimate. That's a small estimate.
Yeah, I miss hanging out. Having a crew. It was like it was a bunch of buttlugs, and it felt cool. It felt like being part of something. I never fit.
We made something out of nothing. Out of nothing.
I never really fit in with any crew. I mean, we always had, like, I don't know. For a minute there, it felt like a gang, but like a gang that does amazing shit. Like putting, it was all good for quite an amount of time, and then it just kind of unfolded. We did a lot of great things together. Makes sense.
And there's nothing to look down about. It's sure we miss the old days, I definitely can't compare one feeling I've ever had in Asia to those days that we had back then, is all I can say. I know on a good basis of, like, we made something out of absolutely nothing, and we kicked ass, and we were fucking running shit at that time.
I mean, definitely causing a stink,
But anyway, I just want to say that was also a part in my life that, like, I felt the most alive. And it's sad when someone leaves, but sometimes we only meet people for like a certain amount of period. And it's like, there's like an expiry date on the time that we have with that person. And sometimes we spend the best part of our life and we have the most best times with that person within 2 years, more than we could possibly have within 40 or 50 years anyways. But it expired.
That makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah, because
we needed to condense it all into like a shorter amount of period, but at that time we were all fucking on it.
This is the way I look at it. Like, there's some people that are so intense that if you spent more than a year with the person, then you would like not survive it. You know? Like,
I think any relationship, like the average marriage only lasts 2 years.
yeah.
And you're supposed to be in love till death, you know?
Yeah, I don't know this. I don't know the statistics, but that's a good point. But
I'm just saying any to me, a relationship doesn't matter whether it's a wife, it's a paper agreement, it's a contract, or whatever. We all have relationships in life.
Oh yeah.
To me, it doesn't matter whether it's a female or male. We all have some reason why we're communicating or being with each other, and why we're spending time or doing things for each other. And that's it, you know. Sometimes we use each other. Sometimes we take advantage of each other, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, sometimes the worst shit happens with that not even being the intention.
Right. Think about like even the people we most love, we say the worst things to, or sometimes treat the harshest. And then a stranger on the street, you know, we'll call Mr. or say hello and how are you, sir? When we don't even know who the person is, but we'll treat our best loved family like shit. That's not right, you know?
Well, yeah, they say the people closest to you see the worst parts of you.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, it seems like it's kind of backwards, you know?
So after hiring the symphony orchestra for the Pimps and Hoes party, the conductor of the symphony orchestra was from Windsor. And he said, if I would have known this was this kind of party, I wouldn't have accepted the job. Because I didn't really let him know that you're playing at a Pimps and Hoes party. But I spent $2,000, and he was like, what do you want us to play? And I was like, Beethoven's Ninth, over and over. And then the harpist was $500, so that was $2,500 just for a symphony orchestra that nobody was even watching or paying attention to, but I did. I've always had a fascination with orchestra. Growing up, I've been to the Detroit Symphony Orchestra 10 times.
Yeah, I sang with the DSO when I was in high school. I was part of the choir, and we actually sang the Carmina Burana, which is like this big epic. You ever seen movie previews where they do bra ba 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 bra ba ba ba? Do you know what song I'm talking about? That big epic song, dun 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 dun. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, we sang that song with the DSO.
Okay. The harpist was key, and we needed a harpist at the door, you know. And this is where, like, I talked about going over the budget, you know, paying $500 to have someone play the harp at the door, you know. Not too many people would do that, but this was a reflection of everything that I am, and I was pushing all of my heart and soul into this project, and I didn't care about money. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
And I'm sure you felt it while you were there in the moment. I didn't give a fuck. It was going to be exactly how I wanted it. It was my stage, and I finally had the chance to say what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. Not too many people ever get that chance.
Yeah.
Anyways, looking forward. A few other good quotes. Let's talk about the ghetto parties in the D a little bit. The hall parties in the D. Brutal Betty. We had some good sleazy times too, you know. Mechanical Bowls. I remember after one of the hall parties in the D, I'll never forget this. I always used to hate to check my voicemail the day after a big party because there'd be like 20 voicemails. Back in those days, like voicemail was really big too. And you know, I'd look at my phone and there'd be like 20 voicemails. And wow, what happened last night? You know? And it was the owner of one of the places, and he was like, "You motherfuckers, you trashed the shit out of my place." And he was like, "I got motherfuckers from the hood that come here on a weekly basis, and they don't do the type of shit that you white motherfuckers do up in here." And he was like, I went in the bathroom, there was shit all over the motherfucking walls. You guys fucked my shit up. And he's like, the carpet's all fucked. And he's like, "You motherfuckers are all crazy. I don't know where you come from, but you come to Detroit, you disrespect me." He was like, "Fuck you." He's like, "Oh shit, I gotta call this guy back." So I call him back and I'm like, "How much do you want?" I took care of it. You know, I paid for the carpet, fucking cleaning, and the cleaning lady actually said to me, quote unquote, she was like, "I'll tell you what, we've had a lot of parties up in here, but after your party, you might as well have gotten a can of gas and lit a match and just burn this motherfucker to the ground instead of cleaning it."
Oh, geez.
The hall parties in the D were awesome. Keep in mind, it went from house to like ghetto D parties to like big time, you know, 1,000 people at the Emerald, Mount Clemens, you know. It went to different areas, and every one was a new experience with different results. Happy people and sad people, always. And like I said, there'd always be 20 voicemail messages, and I'd be like, fuck. Who's happy? Who's upset? You know? Who do I owe? Who don't I owe?
What after the Ron Jeremy one? Did you have 20 voice? I can't even talk. Voicemails after that one.
Oh, that was the worst.
What went wrong is the question.
I spent $40,000 on the first one. The second one was 20 grand and broke even, and then the third one lost. So the first one was just a complete, you know, I lost $35K. So, oh yeah, that was rough.
That was the Rooster Tail one, right? The first one.
Right.
That's the one where you had DJ Jazzy Jeff, and you had the symphony, and you had the harp player as well.
Yes, but also rehired the harp player to do the second or third one, but left out the symphony. The harp was key, okay? The harp was very fucking important, Neil, okay? And I'm actually a fan. I really am of symphony orchestra. Like, I listen to symphony orchestra on a weekly basis.
Nice. Yeah, I like Tchaikovsky.
I don't know like music notes. I don't know how to play any instruments, but I believe that music is like the one thing that calms the soul and, you know, saves lives. And yeah, it's the reason why we're alive, is music, you know?
Amen.
And I wanted to make something bigger and better than anybody else had ever done. And I wanted to promote better. I wanted mobile billboards. I wanted midgets. I wanted harpists. I wanted strippers. I wanted the biggest, best fucking circus that has ever came to town, and I didn't give a fuck how much it cost.
Well, and that's the thing I talk about a lot on this podcast is like when you're in those moments, you don't realize it until after you're out of it that you were having like, people say, college will be the best years of your life. Well, what if you don't go to college? What if you just decide during your college years to like roll the dice on some crazy shit, And that's definitely what I did. And then I just continued it forever, and I just kept rolling the dice. And now we're in this weird pandemic, and I'm sitting here.
Now everyone's fucked, so it doesn't even matter anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it even makes more sense now to make risks before, because right now, we're entering into an entirely different way of life. Regardless, the Great Reset, as they call it. I mean, you can go to the World Economic Forum on YouTube, and their main channel, it says the Great Reset, and there's a video. You can go to the United Nations and just watch their videos and see exactly what is happening right now. It's a major transition in the world, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
While we had the freedom, we used it to the best, is all I'm saying. We fucking killed it, Neil. We fucking killed it.
I was, I got to do most of what I wanted to do. I'm pretty beat up. I got some hearing damage from playing all those gigs. But when I think about it, I lived probably in my brain. I lived like 12 years longer than I thought I ever would, and I'm still alive now. So I have this whole fucking story, and it's still happening. It's weird. You're a fucking dad, dude. You and the fucking angry plumber, or the Canadian. Sorry.
He's the godfather. All right, so switching stories. Let's change to the Canadian in the snow. Locked out of the motel room in his underwear. Have you heard this story?
No.
All right, so we have a motel party. And we invite a few girls. There's like 4 dudes, like 2 girls show up. And we scare them off because we're pounding booze, and they eventually leave. So there's 4 dudes left. And we're at this cheap motel. And we're just pounding booze. And we have this idea to all strip down in our underwear. And it was like 2 feet of snow. It was one of the biggest snowstorms in Michigan's history. We're going to go jump outside in a giant snow pile, all of us in our underwear. Fine. Great idea. So, 4 dudes leave the motel room. This is not a hotel. It's like a Motel 6. So there's this giant snow pile. And 4 dudes leave the room, and it was called the crazy snow jump. And we were all going to go jump on the snow pile. So 4 of us all strip down to our boxers or underwear, and we jump into the snow pile. But in the meantime, none of us brought the room key, and the door automatically shut and locked.
Oh,
so Jesus. Now we're locked out. It's like 20 degrees, and we just jumped in the snow pile in our underwear, and we can't get back in our room. So the Canadian takes it upon himself to go into the reception and ask for a key in his underwear at fucking 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and ask for a new key. While all of us other sissies got in my van, he ran through the snow. This was like a motel that was like spread out, not a hotel. This was all outdoor. He had to run through the snow into the reception and talked to the receptionist at 2:30 a.m. in his underwear, covered, is covered in snow and just red skin, freezing, asked for a key. And he goes up to the reception guy and he looks at him and he's like, "We've been drinking." The reception guy was like, "Oh yeah?" Like, "Yeah, we're okay. We decided to jump in a snow pile in our underwear, but unfortunately we forgot our key inside the room." And he fucking got the key back and he didn't call the cops.
Wow.
The Canadian and the plumber, I swear, they could pull off things that, like, nobody else could. He walked into the fucking reception in his underwear, covered in snow at 2:30 a.m. and got the fucking replacement key. And we trashed the fuck out of the room so 4 dudes. He gets the room key and we run back to the room. I'm sitting in the van, which is still cold. We're all freezing, about to die, supposedly. He gets the key, opens the door, and all 4 dudes run back into the room, and we all slip on the floor, and all 4 of us fall like bowling pins. Boom, 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 boom. All 4 people down on the floor in their underwear. We get back up, rush into the bathroom, turn on the shower, fully hot. 4 dudes in a shower at one time. It's the only time it's legitimate because we're all freezing and about to fucking die. But then the water gets too hot and then it's burning us. So we go from really, really cold to really fucking hot. That was the crazy snow jump. We all jumped in the snow, but the door shut behind us and locked. And we were all in our underwear in a fucking snow pile. 4 fucking dudes, no chicks.
That's what you do.
That's when you know the party's over. All right, shifting pages now, and I'm just going from one to the other, looking through my book now. Funny story, I'm in the shipping container. This was before my wife was pregnant, before I had a son. I have bunk beds inside of the shipping container. She usually sleeps with her son on the bottom, and I sleep on top. And I got emergency diarrhea pains and I couldn't make it down, so I shit my pants. And when I got off the top bunk, all the shit went from the top bunk to the bottom floor. The wife starts puking from the putrid smell of my shit and runs outside. This is also at, the convenient hour of, I don't know, whatever o'clock in the morning, and starts puking outside of the shipping container. And we live right next to mother and father-in-law, mother and grandpa. And she's vomiting all over the place. Well, I just shit all over the shipping container. And her parents came over and asked her if she was pregnant because she thought she had morning sickness.
Oh, wow.
She was like, "No." My wonderful husband just shit diarrhea all over the fucking shipping container, and I'm not having morning sickness. I'm not pregnant. He just fucking blew the fucking doors off his place, and they thought she was pregnant.
Oh my Lord! And when you were speaking with them, you were all speaking in Cambodian, like you. So you live on the compound with how many people total? Is it 5?
Normally it's just grandma and grandpa, and then the wife, which is 3, and her son, which is 4. But the other family members come and go, and she has like 2 brothers and a sister. And they come and go randomly. Here, families like are a lot different than in America. There's like, they just show up, and sometimes they stay for 2 days, sometimes they stay for 2 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I get kind I wish I had a little more privacy sometimes. So anyway, the compound, yes, that's a good word for it. It's fun.
Is that proper? Is that a proper way to talk about it?
Absolutely. I love it. It's some amazing shit goes down there. And it's like anything goes. And it reminds me of like the old school Flophouse days, because the family and like everyone's such buttlugs that like a lot of the same shit goes on, except for I'm 40 years old now and I'm not fucking 20. That's the only issue. So like, it's not as funny as it used to be if I'm in a fucking bad mood or I'm hungover, you know?
Right.
And they like to fucking party for days, and they like to start in the fucking morning. Like, and I don't mind that either, but like, I need some type of control in my life to like, you know, manage my health situation, blah, blah, blah. Everyone does. But they're very, very aggressive. And stories from the farm, shit gets wild out there. And Dad, by the way, he can put them back. He's the only one that can hang with me. Just the daily things that happen there are like very interesting to other people, but to me, it's like a fucking headache because I have to deal with it every day.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's bad. It's just like there's always some type of nonsense happening. And I feel like I said, I'm 40, but I'm still living in this 20-year-old phase where I used to have like all the party houses. It's totally my karma. They got megaphones. They blast megaphones louder. Everything's louder, bigger. For fuck's sake, I got the boxing ring there. Oh, man. I've never lost a fight at the house. It's like not just a different world, Neil. It's like a different planet. And I'm trying to relate to you like in terms that you would understand. But you can't feel it unless you're actually there.
Yeah.
And it actually bothers me.
Well, I've also seen videos on your YouTube channel.
I'm only like 30 or 40% fluent in Cambodian, so I can only have conversational talks. I can't talk to these people like I can talk with you.
Right.
So I can only, you know, say like, well, this car is blue and it's very fast and it has a problem with the engine, but I can't say what the problem is inside the engine, you know.
Right.
Even if I was a mechanic, and that makes it a little bit difficult at times.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I was invited to live with this girl in Japan that I had like an online thing with at one point, and she came out to the States a couple times, and I went out to Japan once. But if I would have stayed out there, it would have been hard for me, you know, because
I remember her. I remember talking to her and seeing videos. You were at the karaoke with her, right?
Oh, did I show you that?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And you loved the karaoke.
Yeah, it was great.
If you love karaoke like you do, but most Americans don't appreciate it as much as you do, you would get along just fine here because there is nonstop 24/7 karaoke. Like, if you wake up at 7 a.m. and you have 2 beers for breakfast, you can go to the karaoke and sing songs. If it's 7 p.m. and you have 2 beers, you can go. If you don't have 2 beers and you want to go, you can go at any time too. The karaoke is always open, and there's always someone blasting music. I can't even believe how quiet it is today on a Monday, that we can even have this conversation together because there's no pounding or drilling going on in the background at the moment. I constantly have, I have custom earplugs, and white people are very sensitive to sound. They're just noiseaholics here. I call it caveman talk. They shout at each other. They yell, and you think they're arguing. You think they're mad, but they're just carrying on a regular conversation.
Oh, wow.
But they shout at each other constantly. And my Lexus had a sunroof. So we would toss beers out to people. We would go out at 3 a.m. and buy like 300 or 400 beers and put them in a cooler and just throw them at people. Okay? And this is okay in this country. It's okay to go out beer tossing. And you're just giving beers away to people. So we just throw beers out the sunroof to people. You know, it was usually my buddy Ryan in the chicken suit throwing beers. One time he threw a beer at a guy who was passed out, a tuk-tuk driver, in a hammock at 3 a.m. And he hit him in the head with a fucking beer.
Oh, jeez.
I would say about 20 yards away. And the guy in the hammock who got hit with the beer in the head woke up and realized he had just gotten hit in the head with a beer, grabbed the beer, opened it up, and just drank it. And every time we would go on these big runs, I would just buy beers and we would just go throw hundreds of beers during the night and just the rules have changed since then, but I'm talking about like 6 or 7 years ago here. You just drive completely wasted and just throw beers at people and give away. I would swear in one night we would give away 300 or 400 beers in one night. Now we can get into the fucking nasty shit.
I'm here, man.
Get right to it then. I want to talk about the St. Patty's Day 2005 story about the day that my house burned down, but I want to talk about the events that happened before that. And it started off, I woke up at about 7 a.m. No, before that, because bars open at 7 a.m. there, don't they?
I have no idea. It's been so long since I went to a bar to drink in the morning.
Right. But you know, on St. Patty's Day, people deliberately go when the bar opens in the morning to get started. You know, it's like a tradition.
It probably opens up, early as fuck, especially in Detroit. That's like a national holiday in Detroit. I mean, it's a national holiday in the country, but especially in Detroit, there's a lot of depressed alcoholics that's their Christmas, you know?
Absolutely. So I woke up with my buddy Keith, and you're familiar with Keith, and we went to a bar right when it opened in Detroit near Cadieux and Warren area, and it was St. Patrick's Day, and we just got we were already loaded. I think we were up the whole night before.
Is that the Cadieux Cafe?
No. This was closer to like White Castle over near the I-94 intersection.
All right.
Anyways, we went to this bar. It was, they had everything ready for St. Patty's Day. There was only a few people there. We walked in already fucking loaded, like ready to go. But we got kicked out of this bar by like 7:30 a.m., like 30 minutes after even being there. We were already fucking almost blacked out. And he was being Keith and getting wild. He's the type of person with a very interesting personality, love-hate type of style. I love stupid shit. My whole life, I've always appreciated people with unique personalities, people that are part of the show. Like that's most of my life has been spent recruiting people for the circus.
Yeah. Oh, he definitely has a personality as big as any of the other buttlugs, for sure.
And that's what I would look for in people. Some people look for good, dependable friends and all these good characteristics and all this. I looked for the weirdest, strangest, people who got out there. And to me, it's about giving emotion and zest in life. I look up to that. So I'm almost like a recruiter for a circus while living my life every day. When I see talent like that, talent to me is like, wow. This guy is a complete, good guy, bad guy, maniac, whatever you want to call it. But he's full of zest and energy, or he or she. I look for that in people, and that's what makes like my project successful. Because then when I have a get together, I invite the biggest lunatics I know together to form a lunatic parade. So we get kicked out of the bar. We blacked out drunk. We get kicked out at like fucking 7:30 a.m. Imagine getting kicked out of a bar at fucking 7:30 in the morning. Like these people were like all set up and had everything like pretty in the bar for St. Patrick's Day. And we came in and they were just like, wow, you guys are some fuckheads and need to leave right now. So we black out, get back to the house. This is St. Patty's Day 2005. And we drink some more at the house. We got a megaphone there, you know, a bunch of other things, and we're getting pretty wild. Eventually, we end up passing out. I would say sometime around, I don't know, lunchtime or so. So I got a few hours of sleep in, and then I was woken up out of a blacked out sleep at about I don't know, sometime in the evening, and I had a Labrador at my house, and a random pit bull was attacking my Labrador outside of my fence because I had so many parties at my privacy fence, like the gate wouldn't shut properly. And the pit bull didn't enter my yard, but my Labrador actually went outside of the fence. And I went outside and I could hear my Labrador in pain. And I went outside and there was a pit bull with his jaws clenched around my Labrador's neck. Okay, so the first thing I could think about, like, I have a SKS rifle upstairs, which is basically like an AK-47. I either go and grab my rifle, but this pit bull is about to kill my Labrador. My Labrador is like a lap dog. He doesn't have a chance in a fight against a pit bull. It's probably like a drug dog from somewhere in the hood that I was living in that people probably beat the shit out of and abused and just happened to get out. This dog was like evil and it needed to die. But I didn't want my Labrador to die. So the first thing I did was run up to the pit bull who had his jaws clenched. And they always say that a pit bull's bite is like permanent. Like you can't separate their jaws. They get like jaw lock or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
So all I could do, but like when you watch like a shark video, the biggest damage is once they bite is when they go like left to right. That's how they kill. Because the bite doesn't necessarily kill. So I just put my hands around the jaws of the pit bull and I'm wrestling the pit bull with the Labrador. So I just put my hands around the jaws of the pit bull and I'm wrestling the pit bull with the Labrador. Now there's about 3 of my good friends left at the house, 3 or 4 good friends, and they all could hear the commotion that was going on. They all came out and they were trying to help. So all of a sudden we had 4 guys against 1 pit bull. And we were beating the fuck out of this pit bull while I just had my hands, like in a wrestling match, making sure that the pit bull didn't kill my dog around its jaws and it wouldn't fucking let go. And 3 of my buddies were just taking field goal kicks on its ribs, punching the pit bull, kicking the sides of its ribs. We must have hit that pit bull 50 to 100 fucking times and it wouldn't stop biting. I mean, it must have had broken bones. It must have been so fucked. I can't even imagine, but it wouldn't let go of the bite. And all of a sudden, my good buddy, just all of a sudden out of nowhere, like they were taking turns. There was 3 of them while I was holding the jaws. They were like stepping back, like a field goal kicker in football, like steps back, take a kick. And they were just boom, 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 like exhausted from fighting this pit bull for, I don't know, what seemed like an hour, which was probably only like 1 minute. We were just beating the piss out of this thing. And all we had 2 rifles in the house, 2 assault rifles in the house. And they both had bayonets on them. All we wanted to do was kill this dog. Because it was obviously like, it was out of control and like someone's drug dog and it had been abused. And we wanted to kill it. I've never wanted to kill something so bad in my entire life. So I'm wrestling it and I got my hands around its jaws and my buddies are just kicking and punching it. And I don't know, but my buddies, who I love dearly, he just had a fucking brilliant idea. He's my roommate at the time. He just grabbed the fucking testicles, grabbed the balls of the fucking pit bull, and lifted up the pit bull by its nutsack. And that's when he let the fucking jaws go.
Oh, man.
That's when he let the bite go. And then he backed off away from my Labrador. He was okay. He was bleeding a little bit, but he wasn't going to die. He just had clenched jaws around his neck for at least a minute, which was the longest minute of my life. And the pit bull just stepped back and was like looking at all of us. Wasn't like aggressive anymore. Was kind of quite tired out. You know, we had just hit it at least 50 fucking times, and I'm not exaggerating, maybe 100. And I mean, beating it as hard as we could. And this motherfucker just kept coming back and coming back. So then he just sat there. So I ran inside to grab my assault rifle, and I ran back downstairs, and he was just still sitting there. And I get out my assault rifle, and I'm like, I'm going to kill you, motherfucker. I pull the trigger, and there was no bullets in my gun. And he just turned around and fucking ran away. And all I was thinking is like, damn it, like I wanted to kill that dog, not just because he was trying to kill my dog, but like he could have went to someone else's house and killed a little kid walking down the street. Like, this is how bastardly this fucking animal was. Like, it needed to die. And wherever he went, I couldn't even imagine this dog could still even walk. But it kind of laughed at me that I had no bullets in my gun. I run back upstairs, reload my assault rifle, cock it back up, run downstairs, and the dog is gone. But at least my dog is okay. I look at his neck, he's bleeding, but he's going to be okay. And we solve it. But lifting up a pit bull by its fucking nutsack off of the ground is the only way you can get them to stop biting. But lifting up a pit bull by its fucking nutsack off of the ground is the only way you can get them to stop biting.
Yeah, dude, I used to babysit my old roommate's pit bulls, but they don't have any nuts, and they're still fucking vicious as fuck, man. Like, those dogs, those dogs don't fuck around.
Go ahead. I'm not dissing anybody with pit bulls. I'm talking about someone who raises them in a drug house that beats them, and you know what I'm saying? Like, this was a dog that it doesn't matter whether it was a pit bull, it could have been a Labrador, just the same, but like this dog had been abused, was just on like, you know, they probably beat the shit out of this dog on a daily basis, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, its life was obviously screwed up by that. If you love a pit bull and take care of it, nurture it from birth, they can be the nicest animals in the world.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I don't have it. Like, I love those dogs that I babysit. It's just, if you don't know them and if they don't know you, they could fuck you up.
Right on. And so anyways, the pit bull left, and after that, I just was in like a very, very interesting emotional state. I was so happy with my friends who helped. Miraculously, just figured to pick it up by its balls, because we were kicking it in the balls, and that didn't even work either.
No.
But lifting up, you know, a pit bull by its balls is a solution if anyone's ever in that situation. That's my advice to people.
Take a note.
You know, you think if there's any male in this world, whether it's a human or an animal, a dog, whatever, you know, you got to figure if you got picked up by your nutsack, you might have to, you know, reassess your plan for attack.
it would render myself incapacitated for sure.
Right on. And it was a few hours after that. So there was the blackout, and then there was the fight with the pit bull. Then there was another blackout, and then the house just ended up on fire. And then, you know, the house is burning in flames. And get this, like, I called my friend and I'm like, look, man, you gotta, you know, he was the one who saved my dog's life, basically. I said, look, you gotta call the fire department. The house is burning. Like, I just woken up from the second time because we got blacked out after the pit bull incident. So this was the first time in my life I actually blacked out twice in one day, and had like an interim rest in between. And so anyway, I'm like, the house is on fire. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but we got to get the fuck out of here. And he just looks at me and he's like, fuck you, man. Because he thought I'm just joking around, you know? And I was like, look, grab up your shit and get out. The fucking house is burning. And he's like, fuck you, man. And then all of a sudden I'm like, open the fucking door and go look over here. And he opens up the door, and it was like in the movie Backdraft, where it was just like, whoosh. And he looked at me and he was like, holy fuck. And he was like, you know, he gets on the phone and we call the fire department, like, our house is burning down, you know, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, all right. And everyone always says, like, you know, what would you take if your house was burning down and you could take one thing out of your house? What would it be? What does he grab? His bong. He's got a computer. He's got like an Xbox. You know, he's got like clothes. He's got, you know, sentimental things. But this bong, his mom actually bought from him, and it was like pretty cool. It was bought from the old road show. It had like a devil and like a glass bong on it, and his mom bought it for him.
Nice.
So he runs into the house. The fire department shows up fairly quickly, and the police hadn't even gotten there yet. My house is smoldering in flames, like it's going down. And he grabs his bong, runs towards the door, and as he gets towards the door, the firemen already have like their axes ready, coming in full force to fight the fire. And they stop. He's standing there with his fucking bong, and the firefighter was like, "Look, man." He's like, "The police are going to be here any fucking second. I don't give a shit, but get that fucking bong out of here and get your fucking ass out of the house. You're going to fucking die." He grabbed and saved his fucking bong.
That's lovely. My mom bought me this bong. Yeah, it's a sentimental piece.
And he did get it out, and there wasn't any problems. I went across the street and just watched the house burn down. And it was weird because I actually talked to the angry plumber that night because my car was inside of my garage while the house was burning down and everything was locked down and I didn't have my keys. I didn't have time to take anything out of the house except for my dog. And I called the angry plumber and I was like, "You got to come and pick me up, man. My house is burning down." And he said the same thing. He's like, "Fuck you, man. Don't bother me. It's 2:00 in the morning or whatever time it was." And I'm like, "I'm not." And he goes, "All right, well, listen. If I get over there and your house isn't burned to the fucking ground, I'm going to beat the fucking piss out of you." And we talked earlier. We talked a little bit earlier about the angry plumber, and he actually can kick just about anyone's ass. And I was like, "Don't worry about that. Just please get over here. I need a fucking place to sleep tonight because I ain't sleeping in this fucking place." So anyway, the house, it was gone. The pit bull story is legendary. And once again, a shout out to my buddies for lifting up that dog by its own nutsack because that's the only way it would fucking would stop fighting. Anyways, moving along. Here's a story I want to switch up a little bit back from the House of Beer. Before this is where we had the hanging party, and had a bunch of other keg parties. Where it all started back in 1999.
Oh yes.
We used to have routine parties all the time, and we did have the Detroit police come a few times just because it was like almost every night. Keep in mind, I was a senior in high school, and I had my own fucking flop house. So like, think about when you were a senior in high school. Usually it would be like, "Oh, my parents are out of town, dude." Like. And you'd have 10 people over, and it would be the coolest thing in the world,
Yeah.
This was like 18 years old. I'm a senior in high school with a house in Detroit rented, and we could bash it up every single night. That's exactly what we did. So anyways, the Detroit police hardly never came. And they kept getting calls, though, from my neighbors because we were very, very, we would light couches on fire, boxing, beating the shit out of each other. And there was one guy who was hooking up with this girl who passed out in the backyard. And once the sun came up in the morning early, about, 8 a.m. or so, someone called the police and said that there was someone who was unconscious on the lawn because he was still passed out from the night before. Detroit police did show up, but they showed up at like 8 a.m. I'm passed out. I probably had maybe 2 or 3 hours of sleep. So I'm recovering from a blackout sleep. I'm locked in my room. My bedroom, I always had a lock because living in a flop house, I needed some type of fucking privacy. And I would go in there and hide. So I'm in there in a blacked out sleep, maybe with 2 hours of rest. And the Detroit police just show up at my house. And since my buddy's passed out on the lawn, they woke him up and they found out he was okay. But they found it to their own liberty since the door was open to just walk right in. And they thought it was a crack house because everything was fucked up. There was garbage everywhere. We had just had a giant keg party. And also I had a plastic bong. I had a plastic bong at the time, and it was right on my kitchen table. And they took that and they smashed it. I didn't even know about any of these things until afterwards because I was still just passed the fuck out in my bed. And we used to fuck with each other all the time. You've seen we used to belt each other. We used to slap the shit out of each other. And we would constantly fuck with each other, especially in the mornings. So my door's locked. I'm passed out in my bed. And the Detroit police are banging on my door. And they're like, "This is the Detroit police," on my bedroom door. And they're like,
Yeah.
"Open the fucking door now. Open the door or we're going to bust this fucking door down." Not knocking, hammering on the door, like hammering on it. I had bought a special, like, really strong lock for the door. And I thought it was just, the Canadian or somebody else just fucking with me, whatever. So I just said, fuck off. I'm trying to fucking sleep. And they were just like, what? This is the Detroit police. And you're going to open this fucking door now or it's fucking coming down. And that caught my attention because I was like, whoever was knocking, like, it was really, really serious. So I finally get up out of bed and I'm thinking, like, motherfuckers, whatever. So I already told them to fuck off, but I didn't even know it was actually them. I opened my door and he's got a pistol pointed out telling me to get down on my hands, get down on my knees. Motherfucker, get down on your knees right now. And he put the pistol right up to my forehead. This is how I woke up. I got a pistol, a 45 in my forehead from the Detroit police. And he's just like, you motherfucker. He's like, this is a crack house. And he's like, where's the drugs? And I just looked at him with a gun pointed in my face. And I was like, this isn't a crack house. And I said, but we did all the drugs we had last night. And they continue.
You're lucky, man, because, I mean, I don't know if you know what happened in Kentucky with the no-knock raid. Sometimes cops in America will just start shooting through the fucking walls, man. So you're fucking lucky, dude.
I'll tell you what, to come out of a blacked out sleep and have a gun pointed in your face, I've never been more attentive waking up like that in my entire life. I was very polite to him.
Yeah.
The way I'm telling you the story is a little different. Like, I was very polite to him, but very clear. Like, look, we just had a party. Everything's okay. We had a big keg party. All the beer's gone. Yes, we had some marijuana too. And we smoked it all. We really didn't have any drugs left in the house. And my house was in such a sad state of broken windows and just people throwing shit everywhere and broken bottles that they were like, no, this is a crack house. Where's the crack? And like we don't have any drugs that we did have here were done last night. And they finally took the gun off of me and I was being chill. And that made everybody else that was at the house lay down in the living room, blah, 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 harassed us, just kept walking around, totally unprofessional, just looking to be tough guys. And there was one hot girl at the place, by the way, left over from the night before, beautiful looking blonde woman. And they actually started hitting on her. They brought her outside. So after they harassed me and stuck a gun in my face, they start hitting on this girl outside and they're like, what's a lady like you doing at a place like this?
What'd she say?
And she's like, these are my friends. We had a keg party last night. I was too drunk to go home last night, so I just ended up sleeping here. And they were like, I don't know what you're doing hanging out here, but these guys are losers. These guys are losers.
These guys are.
So they start getting on their. After they bullshit with her for a while, they get on their megaphone and they start harassing me through their loudspeaker on their car. They didn't, as if pointing a gun in my face wasn't enough to wake me up. And like I said, I told them to fuck off and leave me alone, but I didn't know it was actually them. I thought it was one of my friends fucking with me. And I said, quit fucking with me. Fuck off. I was like, fuck you. I gave it to him, but that was still when my door was closed. And as soon as I opened the door, that gun was in my face. And it got my attention right away. I didn't even have a gun at that house. This was our first house, by the way, and I'm glad I didn't. And by the way, two of my friends that were there totally pussed out and just jumped out of one of the windows and ran away. So I had to fucking deal with it. So back to the police shouting at me through their loudspeaker on their car. I can't even remember what they were saying, but they were just like, this guy's a loser, blah, blah, blah. And they were just going on. And I was just started laughing because at that time they were already in their car and I could tell they weren't going to write me any tickets. They weren't going to arrest anybody. They'd already had us all down on the ground. Not just me, but like the 2 or 3 other people that had passed out in the living room were also made to be put down on the ground. Not just me.
Yeah.
By gunpoint.
Yikes.
And then before they leave, they have it queued up on their loudspeaker, Bad Boys, the theme song, and they just start blasting it in front of my Detroit house. Bad boys, what you gonna do, what you gonna do when they come for you, on their fucking loudspeaker. And they did it for a good 30 seconds before they left. And that's all they wanted to do was come in, And, it was for the most time cool. This was before I had friends in the department. And after that, as the parties got bigger, I made it important, like I said, to make friends with the local police chief because I didn't want that to happen again.
Yeah, smart move, man. Well, that ended better than a lot of the stories you hear lately. There's a lot of stories about, people ending up dead.
I think nowadays it seems like there's a lot more like hatred also towards police, and there's a much bigger problem between the civilian and police because so many people do shoot police officers. So at the same time, I understand, but these were just like two white dudes, in Detroit, just trying to harass some other white dudes having a keg party. But I think at the same time, they really thought that we had like a crack house, and they were going to just try to not arrest anyone, but just fuck up our operation when really it was just a keg party.
It was simpler times back then. At least in the States, the relationship with the police in general is way heavier than it was 20 years ago in Detroit. I know this for a fact. All over the place, really. There's the marches and the civil unrest and the police being militarized. It's a different time now,
Right. And that's the cool thing about here is like the police still wear the old school, just like, blue uniform with the blue pants, and they still have traffic police here that direct traffic. And if you want to sit down and have a beer with them, a lot of them will in uniform here. You can offer police a beer and they will. Like one time I got stopped for speeding, and I had a case of beer in the back of my car, and all I did was just reach in and grab him 2 cold beers and $2.50, and he let me go.
That's lovely. Now, I remember when I was in Mexico, the cops would always threaten to arrest us, and then if we gave them money, they'd go away. But this was 22 years ago,
But you're right about the transition of like the traffic police, and the guy who used to help kids cross the street has now become like a militarized type of person, and that does suck. And yes, it would be different now, but it's just amazing at any time when you get woken up with a 45 stuck in your face, how attentive you can be. Like I was just like, "Oh, I'm sorry. What can I do to help you now?"
That'll sober you up real quick, man.
That was the biggest, quickest sober up I've ever had, no doubt. So moving along to another story here. I sent you a picture too before about you could see where I chipped my front 2 teeth, and if you look close enough in the camera, like when I put my lips like this, there's a giant bubble on my lower lip.
Oh yeah.
And what happened was my buddy here. Not here, but actually in Thailand, got me some really, really strong cannabis oil. And he was like, "You can't even take this directly. It needs to be diluted." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Because I knew it was strong, but I was like, "Oh, I can handle it anyway." So I took a few. I went in the bathroom. I actually went to sleep first, and I woke up out of sleep, and I was just sitting on the toilet, and my head was just spinning and spinning. I had no alcohol for months. And I just fucking passed out off the toilet bowl and hit my chin on the ground, and my top 2 teeth went into my bottom lip and broke two of my front teeth right off, and just went right into my bottom lip and just knocked myself out just from sitting on the toilet bowl. I actually sat down not to shit or piss because I started to feel myself starting to I was gonna fall down anyway. And I just woke up on the ground with my teeth on the ground, bleeding everywhere, and I just couldn't get up. So I just laid there for like an hour. And the wife eventually came in and was like, "What the hell are you doing in there?" And she saw me, and there was like a pool of blood and my teeth sitting there. And luckily I got them fixed now for $50 for both of them.
Oh, wow. That's cheap.
Yeah. That was part of that story. So anyway, it was some good shit, bro. Because he told me that, this shit will fucking knock you out, and it did.
Yeah, they say you can't OD on cannabis, but if you take enough of it, you can get really fucked up.
And I just hit my jaw, flatlined on the ground, and my teeth just went right in. And think about, And I've never taken a punch that's done anything like that before. And this was just all self-inflicted, you know. A self knockout, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in soccer, football, like an own goal. That's when you score on your own goal, or the ball bounces off you and goes in the net. That's called an own goal. That was an own knockout.
Yeah, or like in hockey when you put the puck in your own goal.
Right. I scored just on myself, you know.
You scored. Nice.
Okay, now I want to talk about while we were at the Radnor house and our corner liquor store, or a liquor store, not in the corner, but quite nearby, actually burned down. And this is where I used to get like the 20 kegs, the 30 kegs. So I'd become like pretty good friends with the owner, and it was the place to go to, you know. And they had a giant fire one night, and I didn't even think anything about it. But 2 or 3 days later, one of my buttlug friends showed up with a duffel bag, and he was like, bro, like they had already boarded up the liquor store and it already burned down, and they put the fire out for 3 days. And he had this duffel bag full of burnt bits. And he was like, you got to come to the liquor store and load up your fucking truck right now, because it's full. The place has been completely burned down, but somebody had already pried open the back, like plywood covering that they had boarded up the liquor store. So I get in my Chevy Blazer and I drive down to the liquor store right during the broad day afternoon with a few of my friends. We actually took 2 cars, and I backed up my Blazer behind the liquor store. We went through the plywood, and there was already like 2 or 3 people in there grabbing bottles, but everything was completely black. I mean, it was a complete, the fire was 100% burned the place down, but half the bottles were still sealed. They were just completely black, so you couldn't tell what they were. So all we were doing was just grabbing burnt black bottles and tipping them over to see if they were still sealed, and if they were, putting them in the back of my Blazer. And we must have taken at least 1,000 bits out of that place of just burnt booze. And I know that wasn't the morally right legal thing to do, but at the time we were all broke, jobless, and this was like a dream come true, because we just got 1,000 bottles of fucking booze, burnt booze, and we didn't even know what it was, and just loaded up my Blazer to, like, it was so heavy full of booze. It was like there was bottles stacked so high that we couldn't hardly even put any more bottles inside of it. And the frame of the Blazer was like sunken down, like the weight from those bottles was so heavy that my truck could hardly even handle it. We had so much fucking booze in there, and it was all just burnt black bottles that we didn't even know what the fuck it was, or did we care?
That can't be too healthy for you. Or do you think any of the fire like got into the bottles, or was the liquor preserved in there?
You could definitely taste it. It definitely tasted very raunchy.
Oh, man.
But we didn't care. We didn't really care at the time. And like, so anyways, we're at the liquor store, and, you know, no one really cares in the D. And there was already like 2 other people in there taking shit, but it was mostly like guys just opening up beer cans and emptying the beer just to get the 10 cents from the cans. But we were more interested in getting the bottles and drinking them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't care about the 10-cent refund, but like there were some guys who made some bank because they were just grabbing cases that had burnt, pouring out the beer cans, and just, you know, getting giant bags of empty beer cans to go sell.
That's too much work.
Right. So I went for the booze. My buddies, we loaded up the booze. My other buddy went for all like the canned food, because burnt soup, Campbell's chunky fucking special, kidney beans, beets, whatever. And then he also went for the wine, but I just went for the straight booze, and we must have had 1,000 bottles. So I get back in my Blazer, I go to turn the key on, and my battery's fucking dead. So I'm in the back of a liquor store in Detroit with 1,000 fucking burnt bottles of booze, and I can't start my car.
What the fuck?
Luckily, one of my friends was there, and he had a Jeep. So we actually pushed my Blazer back out into the road. We put it in neutral, backed it out, and then he went behind me in his Jeep and pushed me the 3 blocks back to my house so I could get my Blazer back into my own driveway. Once we get into my driveway, we're like, wow, man, these bottles stink. Inside the Blazer, it smelled so bad. That smell of burning carbon is terrible. And all these bottles are covered in black soot and ash. So it's like, we started filling up the bathtub with like soap and laundry detergent. I was like, let's just clean all the bottles, like put them all in the bathtub and clean it all. Well, that fucking black carbon wasn't coming off. So we bring all the bottles inside, and all of a sudden it smells like fucking hell inside my house. And we try scrubbing the bottles and cleaning them and everything. That doesn't fucking work. So we're just like, fuck it. We put them all on my back porch and just filled up my back porch with 1,000 fucking bottles of booze. And for the next 3 months, we were completely fucking shit-faced off of booze that we didn't even know what it was. We didn't even know what it was. We actually had an 80s party, and we did a jungle juice party. But it was the burnt jungle juice. So what we did was just put all the fifths like inside of a giant garbage can, and then mix fruit juice with it.
That's great. That's gnarly. That's fucked. Ah.
And we just drank that burnt booze for months and months, and we didn't even know. So it would be like, what do you want to drink? And it would be like, let's try this black bottle,
It's like the bottom of a Cracker Jack pack. A little surprise in every one.
It tasted terrible, but we didn't care at the time because we didn't have enough of booze. Okay, moving along now. We're almost done now. I just wanted to talk about. Oh, one moment here. Here's a good just story out of the blue. I got a good friend. He's the same one who went after the canned beets. He was a big fan of the beets. He's living in America right now, and he has a wonderful daughter, and he has to pay child support, and he doesn't get along so well with his wife, or it's not his wife, but his baby's mama, and they've kind of separated. And he does work. He's not a millionaire by any means. He's always made money and paid his child support. He needs to pay $500 every month for his daughter. So just to make it more inconvenient for her, he would go to the bank every month and he would get $500 in change from the bank. Okay? It's like a giant fucking bag full of usually dimes, but if they had nickels or pennies, I don't know, but usually just a full bag of fucking coins. So it would be heavy. $500 in coins is pretty fucking heavy. So when he would pay her child support, he would bring her this giant bag of coins. And, it's legal money. And he goes, I would deliberately hand the bag to her so she would be like, ugh. And he paid every $500. So after going to the bank, like, month after month after month, asking for $500 in change, like, the lady just finally asked one time, the teller was like, why do you need $500 worth of change every month? She thought maybe he had like a laundromat or like a vending machine business. He's like, no, this is how I pay my child support. And she just started cracking up. And she was like, honey, she's like, I'm the queen of petty. So she loved it because he was paying. He wasn't a deadbeat. He never missed a payment.
Yeah.
But he always paid. He's always paid in coins, just to make a statement.
That's lovely. I love that the teller recognized how petty that was.
And realized, like, okay, he is not a deadbeat. He's paying, but he's obviously frustrating the shit out of the person who has to receive this,
Yeah, I mean, if you can't win, at least you can be obnoxious about it.
The monkey story. I had the monkey for about 2 years, and having a monkey was awesome. The monkey loved me, but was very jealous and hated everybody else. We talked about that a little bit earlier. I think I sent you a picture of the monkey.
Yeah.
I ended up having to put the monkey inside of. I built a nice giant monkey house, and it was still sad because monkeys are meant to be to be free and not in the jungle and stuff. And this monkey was actually given to me, like I said, by a logger who just wanted to sell the monkey. And he's made it seem like, can you adopt it? But can you give me $20? So for $20, I got the monkey. And I was like, yeah, I'll take care of it. But he made it seem more of like I was saving the monkey when really he just cuts down trees all the time and he has monkeys all the time anyways. And he's like, oh, it doesn't bite. It's real nice. But the monkey was not. And the monkey ended up biting a few children. And then eventually on the last day, I had to get rid of the monkey. So I thought, what am I going to do with the monkey? Because here it's a little bit different than there also. Like there's not so many rescue type places or places you can trust. So I finally found like the Wildlife Alliance program here, where at least the monkey could be with other monkeys, like in a troop. And I decided to, give the monkey away. And they were like, I talked to them, and they sent 2 guys out to come and pick up the monkey. So they 2 guys show up in a Lexus, and they got tigers there, they got big animals. So they're used to. They must have some type of giant truck or people experienced with dealing with large animals. And this is only, a smaller sized monkey. But they show up in a Lexus, 2 guys, and they show up with a small cat cage, like a cat carrier travel cage that you would bring a cat on an airplane.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
And monkeys are very smart with their hands. And I'm like, dude, you can't put that monkey in that small cat cage. And this monkey will bite you. It loved me, but hated everybody else. And it would go into attack mode. And I was like, and they were like, no big deal. We deal with monkeys all the time. We'll put it in here, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no. And I wouldn't do it for like a half an hour. And finally I was like, fine. So I go in the cage. I open up the cage and I'm like, the monkey would always come up to me and I would hold it and pet it. The monkey would groom me. Sometimes I would even get drunk and pass out in the monkey cage and just sleep with the monkey. Not sex. And the monkey just grooms like your hair. It's hilarious. Would just be like grooming my hair and, have a few beers with me and usually just sleep in the cage with me. That's where I would go and the wife would make me mad. So I go in to get the monkey because the monkey knows me. But as soon as we get that small cat cage out, the monkey knew something was wrong. And to try to stuff that monkey in that cage was totally not right. And I did talk with the owner of the Alliance afterwards and, let them know what happened. But I told the guys, it was like, there's no way. And they had like rope with them to tie around the cat cage to keep the monkey inside. So they like tied it up like round and round and round. So the monkey was inside the cage. And they were getting back in their Lexus to go back to the mountainside, which was about an hour drive to take the monkey away. And all of a sudden the monkey just fucking broke free out of the cage and was pissed off. When the monkey gets pissed, it makes the face like this, like, and it's so like human-like.
Yeah, yeah.
The monkey went right after one of the dudes and just like bit his leg, and he freaked out and started running. He was chasing the monkey, was chasing the other dude. They both, like pussies, ran back into their Lexus and locked their doors. And then the monkey turned on my wife and it started attacking my wife while I'm still inside the monkey cage. Okay, it happened they're real fast. Think about a monkey as like the fastest dog, and a combination of like they can climb up any tree, like they're impossible. Like it's trying to catch a mouse with your bare hands, And they're vicious. So the monkey goes after my wife. Now I have 2 dogs at the farm, and the 2 dogs come over now all of a sudden getting involved, and they're trying to protect my wife. So the monkey's biting my wife's leg. Luckily, she has jeans on. So he's grasped onto the wife's leg, biting her leg. I'm trying to get out of the monkey cage. I have really weak knees and ankles at the moment, so it takes me like a few extra seconds to move, opposed to most people. And I finally get out, and the dogs are over trying to help because they realize the monkey's attacking my wife. So all of a sudden now, we get the monkey, I get out of the cage, the monkey gets off, stops biting the wife, and now all of a sudden both the dogs are fighting the monkey, and I got to break up a fight in between 2 dogs and a monkey. And they're both going at it, like trying to kill each other. And I just kind of let it go for a while because, to be honest, the monkey hated the dogs and the dogs hated the monkey. And the monkey had been through so much hell, I thought if the monkey just dies right now, it may be better than going to the fucking zoo anyways. But let kind of nature play out. So I let them fight for a little while. And the dogs and the monkey were just going back and forth. And that monkey held off both dogs pretty well, got bit one time. I'll send you another picture, add it in. later, but the monkey got bit by one of the dogs, but was just slugging it out with them. And, you know, the monkey's so fast and so quick. It reminded me like of Muhammad Ali was just like, you know, prancing around the ring, like, come on, motherfuckers, and taking on two dogs at the same time. And finally, I was able to break it up, and I just grabbed the monkey, and the monkey was like in total fucking fight or flight mode. So I grabbed the monkey and picked it up, and I just put my hand around its neck. Now, keep in mind, it just attacked my wife and was in like mode to like try and kill. And I didn't want to kill the monkey because it was like my homeboy. And it was sad. And it's so much like a human that it's making like human faces. And I got my hand around its neck and I'm holding it like, I'm going to kill you if you don't calm down. And I calmed the monkey down. And by the way, those two dudes were still in their Lexus with the car door locked while I dealt with all this.
Jeez.
So if you've ever had to break up a fight at one of your concerts or something, and you had to break up a fight in between a monkey and two dogs, I'm sure you've kind of had a similar situation between men acting like monkeys and dogs anyways, you know. It wasn't easy.
I can't imagine, man.
From the pit bull to the monkey, I would say it was actually quite similar in the way it was very difficult to stop that. But I actually had my hand around its throat, and my wife was yelling at me, kill the monkey, kill the monkey. And keep in mind, like if a dog bites a child or it bites a human, the first thing like the police would do, or someone would just shoot the dog down right away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's legal to actually do that. But I had to make a choice in that monkey's life or not. And I finally just turned around and looked at the dudes. And I put the monkey back in the cage and locked it. And then they got out of their Lexus. And they were like, oh, man, we've never seen a monkey like this before. And I said, well, now you have. And that's why I told you not to bring this fucking cat cage. And if you want to take this monkey still, I want you to get your ass back to the Alliance and get a proper metal cage. And let's do this right. And they took like 3 hours. I contacted the fucking head of administration, told them what happened. And they came back with the metal cage. I put the monkey in there properly, and I hope the monkey's doing okay. I haven't checked on the monkey, but I tried to do the best thing I could do and diffuse the situation. And the wife was still mad afterwards, and she was like, why didn't you get out of that cage quicker? And that monkey could have killed me, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, honey, I did my best.
I did my best.
Anyway.
Oh, man.
The top one most insane story of my life.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Just close the notebook. And the only reason why I want to tell this story is not to make anyone scared or not to make my family freak out or anything, but it was one of the worst decisions I made in my life. But I always just try to make the decision in the moment that's the best, and sometimes we don't, you know. But the craziest story ever, and this is beyond the house burning down, which has to be pretty crazy. Don't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
I was going through some rough times, and I made a bad decision. I went back to my house, and I actually wanted to kill myself. So I was sitting in my room upstairs in the Radnor house, and I had a SKS Romanian rifle at the time, and I had the barrel in my mouth, and I was about to pull the trigger, and I didn't. And I was like, fuck it. I'd rather jump off the bridge. So I got in my car, just about blacked out, and I drove to the Ambassador Bridge. Have you heard this story before?
No, I've never heard this. I just walked over the Golden Gate in San Francisco somewhat recently, like 2 years ago. It's a similar size, I would say. The Golden Gate Bridge isn't a huge bridge; it's just iconic, you know.
It was winter.
Yeah,
it was
go
very
ahead.
Cold. Most of the Detroit River was frozen at the time, but like they had those big boats that come through. And I just crossed the border into Canada. I was not blacked out, but like browned out, as you would call it, just before blacked out. And I just parked my Blazer halfway up the Ambassador Bridge, Just got out of my car and I just jumped off the side of the bridge. And they have catch nets on the side of the bridge for people who jump off the bridge.
No way.
So yes, this is very, very true. I know it personally.
Wow.
And you can also research it. So I landed inside the catch net on the side of the Ambassador Bridge. And then my phone rings. So I'm laying in a catch net on the side of the Ambassador Bridge with my car parked right in the middle of the bridge pretty much. And it's my best friend at the time. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, I'm hanging out on the side of the bridge. And he's like, what the fuck, man? Long story short, I jumped off. The catch nets are awesome. Matty Moron that owns the bridge, he died already. But over almost every major bridge in America, even here, they have catch nets. So people who are jumpers, you get caught in the net, and it gives you like a second chance. And we had a really good talk, and I decided not to kill myself. And I climbed back up because they had like a ladder from like where the catch nets are on the side of the Ambassador Bridge where you can climb back up. Got back into my car, talked to him for like at least 10 minutes, got back into my car, and then drove over to the Canadian side. And as soon as I got to the Canadian border, Canadian police pulled up right in front of me, and they just stopped before I could even talk to the immigration. And they were like, why did it take you 30 minutes to cross the border? And I said, I'm having car trouble. And they were like, have you been drinking? And I said, yes. And I looked them right in the eye. And yes. But this isn't the problem right now. I am having some car trouble. And it was nice because my car at the time was actually really loud in my engine. I was having problems with one of the belts. So it was like screeching loud when I pulled up. So I'm like, I'm having problems with my engine. The only reason why I stopped was that I had to fix the engine. And they were like, why are you coming to Canada? And I told them that one of my friends in Canada, like, you know, the Canadian friends I have, he told me he was going to commit suicide. Yes, I've had a few drinks, but he told me he was going to kill himself. So I woke up, I already had a few drinks, but I went to sleep, and I came over to Canada to make sure he's still alive and he doesn't kill himself. And they let me go.
Nice.
Right. After jumping off the bridge and getting stopped and being drunk and telling them I'm drunk, I went to the casino and I won $300 on top of it. That was the craziest night of my life.
Amen, dude. Holy shit. Said it well, man.
That's the number one most, you know, intriguing part. But it's also provided some motivation, and the act of selfishness of killing yourself is actually the biggest act of selfishness in itself, because you leave everybody else behind to suffer without you.
Yeah, I can't complain. I still got all my limbs, and, you know, I got a cool cat, got a nice girlfriend. Like, we're surviving, you know, we're getting by.
Oh, I love her, man. Discard. And even like in Buddhism, if you take your own life in general, they, you know, believe in rebirth. So they believe that you're just going to come back into a new life anyways, but it's going to be much more difficult, and you're going to have to solve those same problems that you never solved and just decided to take your life anyways.
Ah, okay.
Not saying I agree with that, but that's just the basis of Buddhism thinking about suicide.
Yeah, yeah.
So there still is suicides here, but they believe that you'll be reborn into a new body, but you'll come across a lot of the same similar problems that you had in your previous life that you didn't solve anyway. And it will keep going like that. And the only way that you reach nirvana or heaven is to break the cycle and solve your problems and do something good about your life. to get out of that cycle. And they believe that heaven is actually getting out of that cycle of living, which is suffering. So that's how you get into heaven and nirvana, by solving and doing good things in the world and accomplishing the fate and karma that you were supposed to. Or not supposed to, but doing good things.
Yeah.
To break that cycle of not being reborn. So they don't want to be reborn. They want to go to nirvana. You know?
Yeah, it's like in Groundhog Day when he's living the same day until he gets it right. And when he gets it right, that's when he can move on.
That's kind of what I mean. And anyone who's listening to this, like, there's a lot of depressed people. It's a lonely, lonely world, as we talked about before right now. And there's a lot of people that make rash decisions. Right. And like I said, acting on impulse is my best advice against your lowest point in your life. Just fucking make it through that day is all I'm saying. Make it through that hour. Make it through that minute.
Yeah.
Life will get better if you want it to, but it does take some effort. It's not just a good life isn't going to fall into your lap.
I hear that, man.
And a lot of times we get too caught up in the moment of just thinking about all these things spinning around our heads. And I happened to be extremely wasted, so I was overly emotional at the time. So, yeah, you know, it's something where just take it easy and make it through the day. Sometimes, you know, you wake up in the morning and you think about, why did I even worry about that last night? Not even a big deal. But the last night, like, you could hardly sleep, you know. The next day, it's like, fuck it, who cares?
Yeah, I feel that there's some days where I think everything is terrible, and I wake up the next day and I'm like, okay, let's try and work this shit out, you know?
Right on.
Yeah.
And
it's not easy.
It's a positive approach.
It's not easy because this shit sucks. Like you said, like the way the Buddhists look at the cycle of this continuous life where it's one life after the other, and that being alive is suffering, you know? And nirvana is moving on in the end of that suffering. I mean, dude, life is this shit's fucking hard, but I think it's worth it.
Cycle. It's breaking the cycle.
Yeah.
Of suffering.
Yeah.
I'm not here to, like I said, promote any type of religion. I'm just giving examples from how some people would perceive it. Interpretation. Life is so important about how we interpret things. When we go through a lot of depression, a lot of times it's just misinterpretation and miscommunications in life that happen. Like, a good quote also is like 80% of anger is basically like miscommunication. Like, when there's a problem between people, 80% of the time it's really just a miscommunication. But we get so fired up. Once we lose our cool, it's like all over.
It gets worse, you know, too. We make it worse, you know?
Escalates.
Yeah.
It escalates and escalates when it was originally a miscommunication anyway. So a lot of times it's how we interpret life. You know, like for me, when I see a janitor cleaning the floor, he can have the biggest smile on his face, he or her, and he can mop that floor and have a big smile. Or you can be a multi-millionaire and have the biggest frown. It doesn't matter to me. And to me, both of these people are the same, and I don't give a shit about, you know, the prestige of being a millionaire, and I don't care or look down on people that clean the floors. I actually have more respect for the one who does the dirty work. And these are the types of people that, like, I love to take care of. I love to tip. I love to give them, like, free beers. I love to take care of the, you know, the people who are actually in the world doing the fucking hard work.
Yeah.
And I've heard so many success stories. Joe Rogan goes into this a lot in one of his podcasts too, about how many successful people end up actually killing themselves just because they're never satisfied and it's never enough. And this like drug for like satisfaction inside just keeps growing and growing and growing, even though these are like famous actors and these are people that, you know, are supposedly successful with millions and millions of dollars, just end up being the most depressed, miserable people in the world, while the guy or the woman who's washing the floor has a smile on their face.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work out that way. And don't get me wrong. Like right now, Neil, like you're in the process of moving soon. If someone was like, do you want $1 million mansion? It would be hard to say no.
Yes.
And I live in a shipping container. If somebody offered me one too, but I would try to I would accept it too, but I'm just saying it's important that we acknowledge all people in life. We've gotten to a point of loneliness where separation in these current times where people just want like acknowledgement, Neil. And I'm talking about when you pass someone, you know, who's doing a job or taking out the garbage or just passing on the street, walking down the street. It's so important for us to keep communicating, you know, like a head nod, like hello, simple hello, how you doing?
Yeah.
Or just like some people just need to be acknowledged, like, hi, I'm here. I'm a living human being, you know, and I don't care what you think, whether I'm a millionaire or I'm low or my skin's black or it's white. We need to acknowledge each other. And even if it's just a, you know, like a little salute or what's up, you know, like you don't have to say anything. There's a saying in Cambodia that goes, you can say hello to 1 million people and 1 million people will say hello back to you. If you were in New York City and you said hello to 1 million people, they would think you're a fucking, you know, a little bit weird.
Yeah.
And most of them wouldn't even respond. So I'm just saying it's important that we just acknowledge each other as a community, like, and remember that we all are, you know, human beings. And it's just so important that, like, the taxi driver, you know, outside my place, he bothers me every day. Not bothers me, but, you know, do you want to ride? Do you want to ride? Do you want to ride? I just have to say, like, no, thanks, sir, but how you doing, you know? Like, he loves that. And then he won't ask me anymore. But, like, I'll have 10 taxi drivers ask me as soon as I walk out of my apartment here.
Yeah.
All they really want to do is be acknowledged. So if you ignore them, and our natural tendency is to ignore people, especially if it's like, do you want a taxi, sir? Do you want a taxi, sir? Taxi, 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 taxi. Just acknowledge them. No, thank you. I don't need one. I'm going to take a walk. You know, nod your head. Ask them how they're doing. Just acknowledge human beings around you. And it's hard. But I think that's really important. And the point I really wanted to talk about, we're basically like, we both lived 40 years. So, you know, combined together, we've been in this world for 80 years. It's a pretty long time. And we've come across a lot of experiences. And my interpretation, and interpretation is so important, is that we are a little bit of everyone we've ever met in our lives. Of course, we talked about astrology before. We have certain like tendencies and we have certain fates. And some people are lazy and some people are very, very, you know, hardworking and this and that. What I'm trying to say is over our environment and where we're at and where our community are, people are important for people. Right from birth, you know, a baby who isn't held right can actually die from not being held. We're very sensitive people.
Wow.
And as we move along during our lives, think about every interaction you've ever had with every human being. Like if you hear a good joke, for example, it's your joke now because you heard it from someone else and you tell it to somebody else and you're just passing along like a funny story to somebody else. You're a little bit of that person and that person gave you a little bit of their soul and you ingested that and you're giving a little bit of that soul to somebody else because we're creatures of habit. We learn out of habits, and even like the biggest, most successful people always have idols and people they look up to. For example, like in your music right now, if you could think of one band or one musician who's influenced you the most in all the music in your career, who would it be?
Oh, there's too many. But, you know, it depends on the era, too, of music that we're talking about. But, like, if you were talking about when I was in elementary school, it'd be like Guns N' Roses. In middle school, it'd be like Metallica, Megadeth. In high school, it'd be like all the punk shit, Black Flag, you know, stuff, Circle Jerk, stuff like that. And then, like, later on in high school, like bands like Sublime, 311. Out of high school, bands like Mr. Bungle. And then the list goes on, yeah. So I can't name one.
Like, but all these people like became like almost like a part of you, don't you agree? Like even though you went your own way.
Oh yeah.
And you have a very, very unique form of music that I happen to personally enjoy as well. But like all these people and these interactions that we come across like help to form who we are, and we are a little bit of everyone we've ever met in our entire lives is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. And I'm a little bit, as far as musically is concerned, every one of those bands I just listed all influenced me to play certain styles or have a certain type of mentality, lyrical content, etc. It all came from that. Yeah, so yeah, I agree. Totally.
but you also took your own path. It's not like you copy.
Yeah, yeah.
We are creatures. We're creatures of mimicry. And I'll tell you what, living with a monkey for 2 years, it was really cool because like monkeys imitate what you do also, and it's just weird seeing like how it works like that. Like, you know, and like having 2 children too, they do everything that I do, and you have to be careful because if you do bastardly stuff, they'll do bastardly stuff too.
Oh yeah.
So you have to be careful. So like people searching for like self-identity, especially in a war-torn country that I live in, there's a lot of people here that are searching for self-identity. So they're mimicking what other people are doing. Not in a bad way. It's not like you're copying people's style, but we learn things from usually watching other people's behaviors.
Totally.
So it's important to acknowledge, you know, like I said, everyone, and try to treat everyone the same, even though it doesn't work out that way in a perfect world. Not at all. But I think that's something that's missing more from the world and would be good for people to think about. You know, next time you see someone open a door for you, you know, buy him a beer. Or next time someone comes in and washes your toilet and cleans the floor, you know, hook them up, buy them some food or something. Like, take care of these people. I'm not talking about lazy people. I'm talking about people who actually deserve it. You know, people who are actually the hard workers out there trying to, you know, make a difference in their life. These are the people who need to be acknowledged. And it can be a head nod. It can be a hello, what's up? I can't even go for a bike ride here and not have 5 people say hello to me. Sure, I'm a foreigner. I look kind of weird and I'm really a tall guy. So they get a kick out of that. But it's just everywhere I go, it's hello, hello, hello. And all they want to do is talk to me. They don't even care about the business or how much money I have or anything. It's just about that human bond together. And as we get further separated away, especially during these times of the virus where everyone's getting isolated and there's no big groups, it's hard for people to have that bond together, especially just doing like video casts, you know. That lost energy that we both relate toward each other is so important, and it's so important to just acknowledge one another. Yeah. Even if you want to tell someone to fuck off, don't ignore someone. And there's so many people that... Here's the white man way, too. When I say white man, I just mean like the Western whatever. It's like we ignore people. And sometimes, like right now, there's people you're not talking to. Like I haven't talked to certain people in a long time. And we hold grudges for years and we don't talk to each other. That's bullshit, because holding on to anger will never solve that problem. It's better to just call someone and say, look, it was my fault, or I'm sorry, I love you. No, because if you wait too long, you could wait 5 or 10 years and this person could die of cancer and you could never have that chance to talk to them. And you always have that feeling afterwards of, I wish I could have said this while they were still here. We're all only here for a limited amount of time, so let the fucking anger go. Let it go. The stronger person lets it go. And there's problems and it's hard, but it's the best thing you can say to someone is, I forgive you. And if I did something wrong, I'm sorry. But it's more important that we're chill and we can resolve this through communication, because by cutting off communication with people is one of the worst things you can do to not, like I said, to make the problem worse and to not solve the problem. And it may take some time, because if you're in a heated, argument with someone, you might have to take a month or two just so they cool off. But you don't have to call them the next day, because they'll probably still be pissed off at you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But there's no reason to wait 5 or 6 years. Then you find out on Facebook that they died and you never had a chance. Then you get to send a message to their Facebook and say, R.I.P. I wish I would have said I love you, you know. Say I love you while we're still fucking here. So I love you, Neil. I always have.
I love you too, buddy.
And I've loved you since the day we fucking met. It was amazing seeing you perform for the first time. It was one of the most memorable nights of my life. And I don't really look up to many people or admire too many people, but I've always admired you. And I'm just letting you know that, because who knows if we can't speak tomorrow or we never talk again. At least I got that out right now.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. Nobody knows. And I've always admired you too, man. And I've always enjoyed the stories. And I'm glad we got to do this. Yes.
This is the Asian respect. There's the in the middle of your chest, it is like normal, or like friends. Up towards the nose is more serious. This is like close family members. And then up on the head is for like the Buddhist monks, or to like the king, or like, yeah, this is to like the most respectful. So this would just be like, hello, welcome to my restaurant. You know, I hope you enjoy your meal. This would be like, your family, I love you. And this would be more like to the Buddhist monks. Like,
Okay.
That's how the respect thing works here.
Nice.
And there's a big issue with respect in America too, but I don't really want to get into that.
Yeah.
I do want to get into a fucking top hilarious story here about, we talked about miscommunication and being drunk especially. I got a friend here. He is quite a character. I call him my father here. He's a few years older than me. But I actually refer to him as like, in like Star Wars, he calls me Luke and I call him father. And he's had some interesting, he's kind of like fear and loathing type of guy. And he's originally from Cali, Bay Area, and he's been here for a while. And he was at a bar one night, and he got overcharged for his bill, at least what he thought. And he got in an argument. And beers here are like 50 cents or $1 anyway, but it was still just the principle. And he was like all pissed off. And he's like, fine, you want to overcharge me? Then I'll just fucking pay it. So he reaches in his pockets, and he's got no money in his pockets. So he's like, man, one of these girls in here stole my money. So he looks at the manager who's trying to take his bar tab. And he's like, fine. Not only did you overcharge me, but someone in here stole my money and my wallet on top of it. and the lady was like, look, we didn't take your money. You drank this amount of drinks. Just please pay your bill and all is good. And he's like, no, fuck you. If you want to overcharge me and you want to steal my money, then why don't you just take my clothes too? So what does he do next? He takes off his shirt and throws it at the bar. He takes off his pants, throws it at the bar. He takes off his underwear, and he's completely butt-ass naked, and he goes, you might as well just take it all. Then he decides it's a good idea to grab a pool stick, like in Star Wars, like his lightsaber. And he gets on top of the pool table completely naked. Now, he's a pretty big guy. He's probably, I don't even know how big, but he's a pretty big boy. He's around 6 foot, and he's a big boy. And a big boy naked looks kind of interesting, standing on top of a pool table, waving around a pool stick, just like, who wants some? Who wants some? And they did have security there, but how much different? Like, if you were to do that in America, man, I don't even know if they would want to fight a naked man or what, because most people don't want to fight a naked man, but he was in full fucking force on top of this pool table with the pool stick, just waving it around. And finally, one of the security guys there, who wasn't like a really big guy, maybe half of his size, because, people tend to be a little bit shorter here. And he was just like, dude, are you finished? And he's like, rah, 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 rah. They never even like forcefully ejected. Finally, he just steps down off the pool table, and they're like, can you please put your clothes back on? He puts his clothes back on, and finally just leaves and goes home. Story's just starting. So he gets back home. The next day he wakes up out of that blacked out, angry sleep, reaches in the back of his shorts, and there's his money. So it was there the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
He calls me to explain this story. I wasn't actually there, but I know from this gentleman that this actually happened. And he calls me up and he's like, dude, I had a real rough night. I got to tell you about what happened. He went through all the details, and I'm just on the phone like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? Are you serious? Oh, shit. You threw your fucking underwear at her, like, oh, man. He was like, I have to go back in there and apologize today. And I said, wait, no. Don't go back in there today. It's a fucking $10 beer tab. You got your money in your fucking back pocket. I said, wait, at least a week, maybe like 2 weeks. And if you want to apologize, go back in there, maybe like pay your bill, you know, give them like a fruit basket or buy them something, give them some extra money and apologize. Yes. Don't go back in there today.
Yeah, you give it a couple days, you know. Shit.
So what I'm also saying is sometimes as humans, we need to have a cool down period. And I had to give a good example of like when there is a miscommunication, there is a problem, like sometimes we do need to cool down because it's not cool right afterwards. And he was like, I'm going to go right back in there and apologize. And I'm like, dude, don't go in there today. Let the wound heal a little bit.
That's good advice. I'm just picturing a large naked man on a pool table, you know?
Oh, just waving the pool cue, not even hitting it, not hitting anyone, just like woof, woof, woof. Long time ago, before everyone had cell phones, or that would have been a fucking hilarious video. Anyways, that was my good buddy here. His name is Chris, by the way, and just want to give a shout out to him and say what's up. And thank you for providing some good stories. We've had some really like highs and lows together, and yeah, he's always been an interesting character. He's definitely on the team for when we have the once I get my private jet, you know, he'll be on it with you and the midgets and you know and all the chickens and all the winners and all the losers too. We'll put them all together, you know.
The circus, baby.
Okay, now there's a story about. Did I tell you the story about the chicken and Batman going to the whorehouse?
Nope.
Okay, in the chicken suit, a friend of mine, chicken suit, and we also had a Batman suit. We had Batman and Robin at the time. But Robin kind of got fucked up, and we just had Batman and the chicken and went to a whorehouse and just showed up just naked with the chicken suit on and, you know, still got laid.
I mean, why wouldn't he?
They don't mind if you show up in a chicken or Batman suit. That's just from what I heard, you know, from my friends.
Right. Theoretically.
It's not a big deal, and the chicken doesn't usually get laid in America, even though it has happened a few times. And there was even numerous times where girls have kissed the chicken through the mask. There was always a hole where you could drink beer out of, they breathe out of, so you could still pound beers while you're wearing a chicken mask.
Yeah, oh, I've seen it.
And especially here, I met this particular woman at a particular strange place, and I didn't even realize I was so blacked out at the time that she only had one eye. Okay. And I was so blacked out, I had double vision. I thought she had two. Bad joke. But anyways, I didn't even realize she had one eye until I took her back to my house. This was way before I was married. And she was the only one who ever voluntarily put on the chicken suit because she was ashamed of the fact that she only had one eye. So like when we sat at the bar together, she would always sit on the left side and then talk to me so I couldn't see that she, you know, when people have like things they worry about, they try to, you know, not hide them, but avoid people from seeing them. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
If you've got rotten ass black teeth, you probably won't want to smile too much, you know?
Yeah, I've witnessed that for sure.
You got bad hair or no hair, you shave it off or wear a hat, for example. But she loved wearing the chicken suit, and she was the best chicken in Southeast Asia. She was on point, loved to wear it all the time, and would just walk around and kiss dudes through the mask. It was awesome. And I used to bring her on boat parties here, like near the river. You can rent boats here for $15 an hour, and they take you out, and you can have a private party up to 20 people in a boat.
Oh, wow.
She loved wearing the chicken suit. The only woman I've ever met that's really been down to wear the chicken suit. But I didn't even realize till afterwards, and I took her home. And then my buddy's wife, that was my roommate's wife at the time, afterwards was like, "Hey, man," he's like, "What's up with that girl you brought home that had one eye last night?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Yeah, she only had one eye." Like, really? He's like, "Yeah, I didn't even realize it." So the one-eyed chicken, I still got her phone number. So if you ever come here, we'll definitely have to hook her up. I'm sure she's down to hang. Hopefully she's still around.
She sounds fun. She's down.
All right. Jumping to another story, almost finished here. A funny game that Canadian and I used to play. We talked about drinking and abusing each other. We loved to smack the shit out of each other, belt each other. We always abused each other, but we used like inward violence, the boxing ring and everything. And we would just seriously like beat the piss out of each other on a constant basis. And for some reason, it helped like unite us in a very, very strange way. Because it wasn't out of anger. It was abusing each other out of just, being drunk and not really feeling the pain anyways, but kind of like releasing it in a strange way. We used to play this game called Slap Shot. And what we did is we set up a table and we'd get 1 or 2 half gallons of like 5-star vodka. And what you would do is like a chess match. You would put 2 shot glasses down and then we put a puke bucket next to each of us. And what the drinking game is you take a shot and then you just pash as hard as you can, smack the other guy across the table. So a small table so you can reach over and hit the other guy. And then it was his turn. So he'd take a shot and then whack me in the face. And we would just go. The rule was until your knee touched the ground, you lost. So if you got knocked the fuck out from the slap, which happened a lot of times because people do get knocked, you can watch these crazy Russian videos. Now it's become like trendy. Joe Rogan even talks about it.
I've seen it, yeah.
People get knocked out from slaps all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And we would just hit each other as hard as we could. And after we had 20 shots in us, you couldn't feel it anyways, really. And it would get more aggressive. And we wouldn't even know who the winner was. I wish we would have set up, like, if we would have had a live feed of that, people would love to watch that. But we would just whack each other back and forth. It was like, all right, checkmate, rook to, B5, take a shot, smash. And then it would be his turn. We would just go back and forth. And you could puke. That was fine. Puking was not a problem. We loved to barf. It was whose knee was going to hit the ground first. And we would wake up and our faces would be like fucking giant swollen tomatoes. It's like, who won last night? It's like, what do you mean, who won? Is there a winner in this story?
We're all winners, baby.
And it would be quite confusing in the morning. So these are just a few examples of some of the games we like to play. Things did get wild. But like I said, it was always about a good vibe, though, for me. And like when we talked earlier, I never meant to have like a bad vibe. I just get kind of emotional sometimes when I'm telling certain stories. But I want to say for the most part, life's been good. And no one can have like this perfect life anyways. And I've learned so much from it. It's been awesome. It's been, quote unquote, like underground legendary to be able to have those experiences. And I really feel like, to live every day is so important, especially now that we have all these fucking rules and just bullshit that's happening in the world. Like, people got to get out and fucking do things. I don't care what it is. Like, whatever you feel like you need to do inside, like, I don't care if it's considered good or bad by society or whatever. I'm just talking about get it out and do the best at whatever you want to do. And I don't care what it is in this world, but fucking do it and really, really put that emotion put your heart and soul into find what you enjoy doing and fucking do it. I don't even care if it's considered negative to society. If you feel in your heart that it's right, then fucking do it.
Fucking A, man. Yeah, it feels like, especially in the States, it feels like you can't do a whole lot. But I think you just have to adapt and pivot and find a way to keep being who you are, but maybe find a different way to do things, That's what I'm trying to do. I don't know, bro.
All right, we got about 5 minutes left here at the most. I just want you to quickly talk about last time I was there and just tell the quick story about how we went to Myers together, the supermarket.
Oh, yeah. You want me to tell it?
Please do.
Okay, so
I've been shitting in your fucking ear so much. Please grab the microphone and talk.
So
I talk too much.
This was 2011 is the last time I saw you, which is fucking 9 years ago, which is it's mind-boggling. It'll be around Christmas time, it'll be 9 years because it was Christmas time, 2011 going into 2012. And you and I were hanging out. And I think we were near Ferndale or something. I think we went to the Myers on 9 Mile. Or we went to a Myers like 8 Mile in Woodward area. Or was it on the west side? I don't fucking know what Myers it was. But it was funny because we walked in there and I'm with Steven. And we're like by the coat racks, or we're hanging out by where they sell clothes, and right there, like you just whip out a beer out of your coat, and you just start pounding a beer like in Myers, and you you fucking drank the whole beer, and you're just like fucking rules. I think you might have smashed the beer can as well. That's what I remember. But I think I got a photo of it. I got to find that photo. I have a photo of you drinking the beer in the Myers. You're slamming a beer, and I think I took it on my old phone.
and you're right. I did. After I chugged it, I just looked at you and I was like, "Fucking rules." It's legal here to drink in public.
Yeah.
You can even drink at the supermarket here. It's okay as long as you pay for it. By the way, I think that was a Pabst Blue Ribbon, if I remember correctly.
I have the photo. I just need to find it.
But I snuck the beer inside. It was actually in my pocket, not in my coat, I believe. But I actually snuck the beer in because I didn't want, if I had a problem, I'm sure they saw that on video camera. But if I had a problem, I didn't want to get, arrested for stealing and drinking in public.
Yeah.
I thought if I brought my own alcohol inside with me and slammed my own beer, the worst I would get is drinking in public. So that was the reason why I brought my own beer in. And yeah, I was just like, the pants aisle was nice because it's just covered, like a more covered area where not so many people can see. And it was like, look to the left, look to the right, bang. Fucking rules, man.
I got that photo. I'm going to send you the photo with the rest of this footage.
Just want to finish this up by saying a few shout outs and just what's up to all the buttlugs, everyone that sees this. I know it's been a really long time. Just because I'm in Cambodia and just because most of my homeboys are in Michigan or California, wherever you're at, I just want to say what's up to everyone. I love you. It's been a long time. Here I'm still alive. I'm not on Facebook anymore. I don't really do the social media thing. But it actually took me quite a long time just to actually agree to do this type of interview. I'm not running from anything. I'm doing fine here. I have a family. I have a house here. Life is good again for the most part. And I just had a son, so I think things are going well. I just want to say, like, I didn't leave America and I don't have anything against it. I actually wish I could be there if it wasn't for this virus right now and we could have like a whirly ball or have some type of like reunion. I plan on coming there. I'm legally married now. Also, it would be easy for my wife to get a visa to come there and to be able to bring my son and be able to see everyone. So I look forward to seeing everyone there after all this fucking pandemic shit goes away. So I just want to say there's a lot of love for Detroit. It's not like I left the place out of like, fuck this place. I was just on an adventure. And like I said, it's just another chapter in the book. And just think about when you see the sun and you see the moon, we're looking at the same sun and the moon anyway. And I feel just as connected as I do from Cambodia to Michigan as maybe how you would feel even towards Cali and all your friends in Michigan too.
Yeah.
That's considered a large area away from each other.
Yeah, 3,000 miles, yeah.
But Cambodia happens to be 10,000 miles away. But I'm saying it doesn't matter how far we are so much away. There's a lot of love for everyone back where I grew up from. And I just want to give a few shout outs to some good friends along the way that have really made life better and have been those types of people that have brought that, intensity, that brought the emotion, that good heart, that zest for life is the best way to put it. And it is a small list, but I just want to say, first of all, what's up to Big Chris? He's always been down. You're good friends with him too. I want to say what's up, Big Chris. I've always admired him too. He's an awesome, one of the most kindest hearted people I've ever met in my entire life. I want to say what's up to the Canadian Godfather. I've already talked about him enough. So what's up, Canadian? I hope you found some peace in your life now, and I look forward to meeting together again after this virus bullshit. I want to say what's up to some local homeboys here in Cambodia. My buddy Poe. I call him Super Poe. He's an amazing person, and we've done a lot of good things together here. Poe, as in like Pho, Poe. So I call him Super Poe. He's just an awesome, down-to-earth person who's done a lot of great things here, and a very, very hard, diligent person. I want to say what's up to my Aussie mates down under. I spent some time down in Perth earlier, I don't know when, 2 years ago. I want to say what's up to my Aussie mates, Jeff Abel. I want to say what's up to How To Basic. I want to say what's up to Michael. He runs the channel Jeff Abel and Friends, and his former channel is Children of Poisadon. I want to say what's up to Oishin from us. These are all my Australian mates. So good day, mate. Good day, mate. I love you guys. They've been here a lot, and they love Cambodia, and they're stuck in Australia. Australia happens to have like the hardest lockdowns of most countries in the world right now. And they were actually had plane tickets booked to come here 2 weeks before the lockdown happened. So if they would have booked their tickets 2 weeks before, they would still fucking be here in Cambodia for
Imagine that. Imagine being in Cambodia for this entire thing. Wild.
I'd also like to say what's up to Susie. She was the one who taught me astrology growing up. I just want to say what's up. She has a family. She's married now. I want to say thank you. I consider her my best teacher for teaching me astrology growing up. She's a wonderful human being, and she's awesome. I want to say what's up to my buddy Ryan in Japan right now. He was the one who caught me when I fell down the stairs. We've both been there for each other. I'm actually the godfather for his daughter, and I hope the best for her. Her name is Rocket, and he's a legend in himself, and he's got a lot of stories. He would be good for a podcast as well. Definitely a raw dog, but he's actually got his shit together and doing well right now.
Yeah.
I'd like to say what's up to the Angry Plumber. We talked about him a lot before already. If he ever sees this, whatever, I just want to say what's up. Sorry about the beef we had before. If there's any time you want to reach out and talk again, that's fine. If you don't want to, I've enjoyed every minute. I'm just sorry I didn't have the respect that I've learned over the last 20 years. And I'm sorry for the fallout that we had or whatever, but fuck it. I still love you, Tommy. And yeah, I always will. I want to just say what's up to my buddy Jack, the bowler. I want to say what's up to him. He's always helped me out to make a lot of these things possible, these giant parties. He was always a big contributor. I want to say what's up to my buddy Scotty. I want to say what's up to, and tell him to fuck off too, because he's kind of a prick. That's fine. So like, hello, I love you, fuck off. I want to say what's up to my buddy Chris, the bull. He's the one who lifted up the pit bull by his nutsack, saved my dog's life. That's a special relationship we have together.
Oh, yeah. I know that dude.
I want to say what's up to my buddy R. He's living in either North or South Carolina right now. He's the one that pays his child support in coins, and he also happened to sleep on the turd. But he's done a bunch of wonderful things for the world. And I unfortunately don't have the time to tell all the good things about it, but I'm just telling blunder stories too. And he doesn't mind. We talked about it before.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say what's up to my buddy Christoph in Germany. He's a good friend I had here, but right now he's in Germany at the time. I just want to say what's up to Christoph. He's a really cool man. And he's really been there for a lot to help out over the years. I want to say what's up to my sister Becca and her brother Doug as well. What's up? And I want to say what's up to Rick Brown. He's a famous artist. I admire him. I really admire artists, but he's a very, very talented artist. I want to say what's up to my buddy Dan, the bastard. Much love to you, and I hope your life is going well. I want to say what's up to both McKenzie brothers. What's up to Bubba and the crew. Had a lot of good times together, pigs drinking beers on stage, et cetera, et cetera. Thanks for letting me use your boxing ring for so long. That was ICP's boxing ring, by the way, that was in my backyard where the famous brawls went down. And
I think they still have it.
it had like the clown emblems painted over in the corners of the ring. Like that was ICP's original ring, and that was in my backyard. They used to come and practice wrestling during the days, like once a week. And then when I would have big parties, we would have throwdowns. And that ring is like $10,000. So there's no way I could have had a boxing ring without his help. So that's awesome. And I also want to say what's up to my buddy Zach in Thailand. He's also been a big part of the inspiration. I want to say what's up to my buddy Nick Krause as well. We haven't talked in a long time. I hope that we do. And I want to say what's up to John B. And that pretty much... and my good friend Brendan from Canada as well. And he's also helped me a lot out here, but he's back in Canada right now during the issues, but we still talk all the time. Know a lot of people across the world. It's a great place. And like we talked about earlier, it's more important right now to try to focus on optimism as opposed to pessimistic types of behaviors, because there's too much pessimistic things right now. And I do honestly believe deep down inside that if we think optimistic thoughts, that they will eventually overcome the negativity, pessimism types of ideas. So life is good, really happy. And I want to thank you the most, not just taking the time and just completely shitting in your ear and battering on and on. I wanted to talk louder than anyone else because I've got a lot to say, and I'm not even halfway done. But we got to cut it, and I know that life has to go on here. But I just want to thank you for taking the time. Also, have me on. It's an honor to be here, to be talking with you, to be alive, and to be communicating with you right now. On top of it, because growing up, admiring you at the same time, I've always looked up to you, and it's an honor.
Oh, well, the feeling's mutual, man, and it doesn't have to be the last time, but this is chapter 1,
It's important to tell people that we love them. It's important to laugh. It's important to cry. But that's one hell of a day. That's a quote from Jimmy Valvano. Thanks. It's honored, but I also feel like I deserve to be on your show. Like I earned it. I just want to say, out of my buttluggery, my master's degree in buttluggery, I believe I earned this chair. This is my first podcast I've ever done. I haven't really had a chance to express to a lot of people. And it takes so long to talk about these stories. I don't want to tell this story, 1,000 times. It's better that we do a podcast these days and just have people see it. Then when I talk to them, we can talk about current things, not so much about all the things that happened in the past, because there's a lot of question marks.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think ultimately I want to talk to interesting people. I don't necessarily want to just have like, oh, so you're in a band. When did the band start? To me, that's fucking boring. Like, I want to talk to people that live interesting lives. And of all the people that I've ever met, you have lived multiple chapters in a pretty interesting fucking book. So the honor is mine too, man. And I know you got more stories, and I know there's more buttluggery to be discussed, but this is what we got for now. And as long as we are alive, I could continue doing dumb shit like this, and we could continue, writing pages, man.
Right on. And the book has only started, and that's how I try to wake up every day. Is that the book has just started, and it's a new chance to get out there and just either do something great or do something just completely fucked. Who cares? It's like a brand new opportunity. I'm very, very grateful and very, very thankful for all just the people and the way life's turned out. Like you said about like the risks that we've taken and like the crazy shit that we've done. Like it's a bonus just to be alive.
It's a small miracle
every day.
It's a small miracle,
Absolutely. It really is. And there's bad days where, it's easy to hang your head, but fuck that. The bad days go and the good times come and just let it ride, and yeah, ride or die, man. It's been awesome. It really has been. So thanks to my family too for putting up with all my obnoxious shit. In the end, I've always had deep down inside a good heart, even though I've kind of crossed the line or at least, habitually stepped on the line, walked the line most of my life. I've always meant to have good intentions and bring out, the circus in life, the zest in other people. And I've brought a lot of people together, I think, and I think a lot of people wouldn't even know each other if it wasn't for me. I've connected people. I've just tried to bring goodness into this world through a very, very strange way to make it a better place.
Fucking A, and I think you've done that, man.
Thank you.
Good morning. And how are you? I am fine, thank you. Did you get that?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Finish?
Yeah.
Steven, Detroit. Right. You know
Ladies and gentlemen, the
I
man.
have to change knees because that's right there isn't quite right.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend, Steven from Detroit City, baby.
Yeah, the water here.
Got water. Little whiskey, little water. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend.
Oh shit. Oh, he's going.
Holy cow, he's already halfway done.
Oh my god.
Holy fuck, Steven.
No, don't do
He's
that.
literally almost done.
Don't do that.
What a champion. He's like on the last.
Oh my god, do not do that.
Holy cow. He's literally almost
You're almost there, you are almost there.
Close.
Oh my god.
Good fucking lord, you got, this guy's gonna
Steven the champ! The champ is here! Oh my goodness, Steven! Standing ovation for Steven.
I think we all get on our knees.
Detroit, motherfucking Detroit! Detroit!
Oh my god.